Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another amazing week of Big East League of Legends action. I'm Inverum, that's Degon. Welcome to the show. I have some news for you to start things off. Due to some unfortunate events beyond our control, it looks like our very first match of the day is currently not happening up first. We are looking to try and reschedule that. However, Providence versus Marquette is not quite happening right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the scheduling issues, one of the teams having some issues, so we're just pushing it back for now, but it looks like we do have a resolution in the future.
Yeah, we are trying to push up our second game of the day, so we're trying to get Butler up against DePaul, move forward a little bit here. The teams have been aware. We're trying to move that up for you, so there might be a bit of a delay getting you that, but we will have some awesome matches for you here. Let's take a look at the standings, though, and just let everybody know how we're doing. As we can see, DePaul still sitting strong at the top of the standings, 8-0. And this is a big week for these teams, Degon. They are all fighting for that, well, most of them are fighting for that playoff spot.
That's right. Seton Hall has a bye today, but that means St. John's, Butler, and Villanova all still in play for the playoffs. Marquette and Providence playing for some school pride here, but really keep your eye on St. John's and Villanova. That'll be a match happening later today. St. John's, this is their last match of the day, or of the season. Each team gets 12 games, and if St. John's wants a chance to make it in, it looks like they're going to have to finish with at least a win today, if not two, to finish 6-6.
Yeah, this is a big week for these teams. This is where it's all on the line. As we look towards our next matchup here, which is going to be DePaul versus Butler. DePaul, of course, the undefeated juggernauts, and Butler, that Cinderella story, the team that didn't get a single win last season, not one. Not one win!
Yeah.
They have come out and looked so much better. Bulldog tenacity, I love to see it.
Yeah, and one of the fantastic things about this is that this is mostly the same roster. You have so many returning members from the team that didn't quite find the success in terms of match victories. They had so many 1-2 losses, but never could get over the hump. And through Renegade Mac in the mid lane and a fantastic player on the bottom side of the map, Alex Straza, he's been one of the guys that's put the team on his back over and over again. They have multiple threats that have evolved throughout last season into this season, and they have opportunity here to put some really big playoff implications against the #1 team of DePaul.
Yeah, there's so many strong names on this roster. I find us saying it over and over again. We talk about Renegade Mac. We talk about Alex Straza, formerly Gang Gang Suwo. Some of the other members of this team have been a little bit quieter. They will also need to step up here. They have a lot of strong members. It's not like they're necessarily playing poorly. It's just that there's names we're constantly talking about because of the big plays. If everyone can step up and make those big plays, I think they have a shot here. DePaul has obviously looked untouchable up until this point, but Butler, they've been on an upward trajectory all season long. If there's a shot, they need to take it right now.
Yeah, and they're the only team to have beaten Villanova so far. Villanova, the #2 team, returning champ last season. And we actually, it made us question Villanova, like, hey, you guys lost to Butler. What's happening here? Well, what happened is Butler turns out to be one heck of a team, and they have a reputation of being possibly a giant killer here, and they have one heck of a giant in DePaul.
They do indeed. Let's take a look at their roster as well, because DePaul has been a team all season long that we've been singing their praises at the very least. Brown Mandarius, of course, in that top lane. And then Kamcha as well last week, a player very much vying for that MVP slot. Almost gave it to him there. It was pretty darn close.
Yeah, he was a consistently high-performing mid laner surrounded by powder kegs in the top lane and the bottom lane. You were saying if someone needs to step up on Butler, it's DeBoss, because Brown Mandarius, probably the best player in the league. He was the one that we interviewed last week. Fantastic solo player, carry player. He can play everything right now. Highest rated player in the league, and he's showing why.
Yeah, I mean, let's actually take a look at some highlights from last week, because we actually have some from their match up against St. John's. There were a lot of fun individual mechanical moments, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, these games were highly entertaining, and they went back and forth over and over again. But eventually, you could see the class that came out of these guys, and it was just constantly fighting. And for a little while, it looked like, hey, there's some win conditions here. You can see the score on your screen, 2-0. Here's something going. But then Boris on the Draven finally taken off, and you know, Basham is no slouch. He's one good AD carry for St. John's, and if they're going to have an opportunity to get in, you know, it's going to be through him. But you can see the control around the map, and then Brown Mandarius getting his namesake champion right there. 1, 2, 3, dunk them all. Is that Shaq? Holy cow, it's Brown Mandarius going on, right on in and picking up kill after kill. And look at that low score game. And it doesn't have to be a brawl out all the time. You can see through map control, the team was just coordinated, and through their top lane carry, they took the victory 2-0 and kept their undefeated regular season hopes alive.
But it showed that there were some weaknesses there that could possibly be exploited. I think they're kind of feeling, I don't want to use the term resting on their laurels, but they're definitely feeling a little bit maybe too confident, which is something that actually bit them last season. You saw some plays there. They're diving underneath turrets, trying to make big plays, getting caught out and punished for it. They need to stop that right now. They need to respect their opponents. Yeah, they've got the great mechanical skill, and yes, they've been able to clutch it out.
Yeah, I would just
But
say,
if a good team gets some of those advantages early and is able to snowball it, that's DePaul in the back foot like we've never seen.
yeah, but I would say, like, now's the time to make those plays, right? You want to go ahead and push it when you're already locked in as one of the top seeds. You know that your seeding is already going to be based upon your match against Villanova later on in the season, given that you don't lose to a team like Butler.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to play aggressive when you need to play aggressive. So it's not, hey, don't tower dive. It's, hey, don't tower dive when you don't need to tower dive.
Yeah.
Or when it's not possible to tower dive. Like, hey, if we're going to take a 50-50, possibly a 40-60 tower dive that has a lower probability, lower chance of working out, that's okay. Understand that that's what we're trying to get out of this game. Don't be afraid of doing that. However, know your limits and push those limits in the regular season, and they weren't getting punished yet. But you're right. If they continue to disrespect, that's very different than, I think, trying things out and seeing where those limits are when we get into the championships.
Yeah, I mean, because now they're going up against a team like Butler, who, as we mentioned, is fighting for playoff contention right now. Let's actually take a look at the standings one more time, because I think it's important that everyone realizes the stakes that are going on in this right now. Butler went 1-1 with Seton Hall last week. They really wanted to secure that last additional win to just kind of propel them even further here. Losing that match was actually super important. We have highlights from that match to look over as well, because that now puts them within striking distance of a lot of these other squads, Seton Hall being one of them. And it just goes to show that the race here in the Big East is certainly close.
And again, Seton Hall is on a bye this week, sitting at 5-5, and it's very possible that DePaul goes 2-0 against Butler, and Butler find themselves at 5-5. And if St. John's can get 2 wins today against Villanova, who has shown that they can lose a game, they do bleed, it'll be a real big mess for that final 4th playoff spot, and even the 3rd playoff spot might be up for grabs. And last season, you got to see, in terms of ranking, DePaul played Providence in the 4th seed, and then it was Seton Hall and Villanova in the 2-3 spot, and the difference in ranking is the opponent there. It was very close, the Villanova and Seton Hall game, and then it turns out Villanova goes on and wins the championship over DePaul. So all 3 of those teams vying for 2 spots, it's all up in the air, and you know, it comes down to which team wants it more, which team has finally refined their game style and their gameplay as we go into this final couple of weeks of play.
And one thing that's interesting to note here is the fact that Butler actually owns the tiebreaker with Seton Hall because they ended up winning their match faster, their game faster in that split. They actually come out on top here in this situation, which means that, again, these matchups are so important here for them. It's going to be tricky. It's hard to bet against DePaul, but again, when this team like this, Butler is back against the wall, that's when they're going to strike. That's when I want to see them at their very best here. And again, guys, we apologize for the delay. We did have a bit of a scheduling error with our first game. One of the teams, it's just a bit of a mix-up there. Things beyond our control. So we're looking to resolve that by bringing our match number 2 up sooner. As of now, we're hoping to get both teams ready by 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, which is about 15, 20 minutes from now, or 20 minutes from now-ish. So I think we're going to hop onto a quick break for now. We're going to work with our players, try and get it moved up as soon as we can. We'll be back in just a minute, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
Definition of a champion. Definition of a champion.
Madison Square Garden. Name another place better for the Big East to take place. Other than the Mecca, from the players on the court to the chants in the stands. This the origin of greatness, birthplace of the champions.
I'm always a winner. Even if I fall, I can still get bigger. The definition of a champion. Definition of a champion.
The Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. Get tickets now.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once more. The Big East regular season Collegiate League of Legends action. I'm in Verum. That's Degon. Thank you all so much for sticking with us here as we're sorting out all of our issues. Let's get into the day. We're making it work. We're getting it done.
We're making it work.
We're making it work.
It's working.
As it is. It is working. It's definitely working as intended. If you guys are just joining us here for the first time and aren't totally aware of what is going on with our lovely tournament, we have a format video for you to explain how it works.
So here's how it works. 7 teams representing the Big East schools will compete in a single round-robin best-of-2 regular season. Each match day will consist of 2 games against the same school. The standings are reflective of their game score. From there, the top 4 teams from the regular season will seed into a single elimination best-of-3 bracket. Whoever makes it into the finals of that slugfest will advance to the College League of Legends Championships play-in, where they will have the chance to advance to the CLOL National Championship. There, they will have the chance to cement their place among the greats of Collegiate League of Legends.
As you can see, DePaul still the undefeated Titans up there at the top of the standings. And there are a few teams who are looking to join them here in our playoffs.
That's right, there's 4 teams left for 3 spots. St. John's, Seton Hall, Butler, and Villanova. Seton Hall has the bye this week, so they get to sit and watch how Butler and St. John's do. St. John's, Villanova coming up later, but up first, big matchup here, DePaul and Butler.
Yeah, this is a huge matchup for Butler right now. I mean, a lot's on the line for them here. They were a team who we talked about it last season. They didn't have a single win. They didn't find success, but this time around they have come back and they have looked so much stronger. They've improved so much as a team. They've been able to exploit weaknesses in their opponents, and they're going to have to do so again because DePaul has shown that they don't have a ton of weaknesses.
Yeah, DePaul has shown their grit all throughout the map. Obviously, we've talked about the revenge narrative over and over again, and it might seem worn out right now, but as a team that didn't falter in the regular season, but realized, hey, look, we lost focus into the playoffs. They can't lose focus now against an opponent like Butler, and they've done that by having brand new roster with a couple different returning players. The main guy, though, Brown Man Darius in the top lane. He's brand new. Forced Boris down on the bottom side of the map. Boris has shown throughout the season that, hey, he's a pretty good bot laner as well with Hunky Hank. This team is just stacked all the way around.
Oh, it is. Boris and Brown Man Darius, as you mentioned, Kamcha as well in the mid. They're the ones who talk out a lot, but Hunky Hank and the Sheckler as well. Hunky Hank in particular is someone I feel like we don't profile enough because he's always in the right positions to make sure that he can enable those carries on his side. I mean, we've seen his Braum and stuff like that, who just always in the right time, at the right place to make sure that the rest of his team can do their jobs. And Brown Man Darius, of course, as you mentioned, the top-rated player in the entirety of the conference, and shows us why pretty much every single week.
Yeah, last week they took up a tough test against St. John's, and he showed off his Thresh as well. So Hunky Hank, we don't talk about him as much as we should. He's a guy that deserves a lot of praise for that team's success.
And of course, we look over across the way at their opponents here in this next matchup. It's going to be Butler, Renegade Mac in the mid, one of those players we talk about a ton, and Alex Straza, formerly Gang Suwoo, consistently excellent. Every single time that he's put in a position where he can get some kills, he will do so.
And you love the Cinderella story of Butler here, that this was a team last season, didn't find any victories, put up all their VODs from every single match on the internet so that they could get feedback and review it, and with the same guys have found huge success, including the guys that were on the team last season. Surprisingly, Renegade Mac, the captain, the leader of that team, I think we could easily say that Alex Straza might be the best player on that team, but the heartbeat, the soul, the thing that makes that run is Renegade Mac, and his play has elevated a lot. But if you do need to watch a player for Butler that needs to be able to perform today, it's in the top lane with the boss. The boss, not because he hasn't been performing. He's a solid player. When I think of the boss, I think of Sion. He plays a lot of those tanks, but he's going up against one of the best players in the league of Brown Man Darius. He needs to be able to hold his own and make sure that the rest of his team gets to play and it doesn't snowball off the top lane.
I really want to continue, actually, this conversation specifically because we're going to get into our draft here in just a bit. When we look up, again, I also think of him for these tanks. I think of him for Sion. I think of him at Urgot. Some changes that have been happening recently. We are, of course, on 9.4 going into this. How do you think that's going to affect expect this because we've seen Darius traditionally flex into more of these bruiser picks. He can go in, do a lot of damage. He tends to play a bit more of that carry. How is that matchup actually going to play out if we do see that sort of tank v bruiser matchup?
I think it's about affecting the rest of the map. You know you have a carry in the mid lane with Renegade Mac. If you're going to find an advantage, if you're going to take a loss in the top lane, you have to find an advantage elsewhere. So make sure that first teleport isn't one where you have to go back in lane because you're getting bodied, you're losing HP. It's back to another side of the map so that you can accelerate somewhere else. We know that the bot lane is another one of those focus points. So you have two different lanes that you can help out. If you're the boss, make sure that you boss that lane with your teleport.
Well, let's see if you can do just that as we get into our draft for game number 1. Once again, guys, thank you all so much for bearing with us as we get into our now first match, formerly second match of the day, DePaul up against Butler. So much on the line for Butler in this matchup right now. We're going to say it again and again and again because this is their last chance.
Yeah, Butler, if they want to try and slide in here, one victory will slot them in basically to the 3rd seed. But if they want to climb higher and find their way into the top 2, this is a good opportunity for them. For DePaul, this is another good test, a team that they'll probably see in the playoffs, and a team that's worthy of playoffs. Like, especially because of the growth that they've shown from last season to this season, as well as the fact that they're a great opponent here in the Big East. So they need to make sure that they take care of business. Don't sleep on them. Don't get lazy here. If you want to try something, maybe try maybe Brown Man Darius on a tank and see if he can out-tank the opposite side, because he's always played top lane carries. But I wouldn't say this is a walk in the park. Butler's no slouch, and they have players that can and have carried before. You take a look at the bans.
Yeah.
Got you
I wonder if that's slightly
there.
targeted. Is it slightly targeted?
Maybe,
just
possibly.
a little bit targeted.
You know, the mid lane, all those could go in different lanes. Darius mid, Riven mid, Jax jungle. These are, these are targeted bans against our boy Kamcha on the mid lane. On the opposite side, Vlad, Thresh, and Kennen. I like these bans. I like these bans because it's spread around, and it's a couple of champs that they're known for. And because DePaul has first pick, they don't have to ban out the cast. They take it with their first pick. So you effectively take away 2 champions from Renegade Mac, and you take out the supports, Butler's supports best champ. So you move a lot of things around here, and it makes it very difficult for Butler to play around.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it looks like Butler's going to just instantly lock in the support here on the Morgana, because they don't want to get potentially banned out of anything else or picked out of it now. I love getting Kamcha as cast early. He's so consistently good on the champ. Again, he was vying for MVP last week, so I think that's super solid. We also pick up the jungle here as well for Butler. So it's interesting that they're kind of holding back on some of these, I guess, super top priority picks in some situations. They're holding back the mid, they're holding back their ADC.
So what I think they're doing is they're going to give the counter picks to both their carries. Give your counter pick to mid, give your counter pick to your AD carry. That's the power of picking second when you're on the red side. Blue side gets first pick, they get the power pick. You get to counter pick when you're on the red side. And so with Renegade Mac and Alexstrasza, those are your 2 carries. Work around them. I like the fact that Master Gamer Live gets his J4. He has played it multiple times along with the Xin Zhao being a facilitator. But looking on the opposite map, opposite side, DePaul going with the late game Sivir. Boris not going to be using a ton of mechanics here, but mostly his in-lane prowess to make sure he can CS and then hope that he can scale. So you got 2 scaling champions here on DePaul. That's a little scary if Butler is able to get something going, but then Butler's going to have to learn how to close it out. Let's see how the rest of this draft pans out. The Nunu and Willem locked in as well for the Sheckler.
Yeah, they picked that up last week as well. I think this is to me, this is such a bait pick. This is something that they're trying, I think, to establish is something that the Sheckler really likes. But really, it's not. We'll touch about this in a second. But really, it's not. I have a funny feeling it's actually they're just going to look to continue to run it and see if they can actually bait some bans out with it down the road. That's what that looks like to me.
Yeah, possibly. But I think this is just practice for later on. I really like the fact that with things on the line here for Butler, if they do want to move on up, put your best player in the best spot.
Yep.
And hopefully we won't see too much Vayne spotting. But Alexstrasza is going to have the opportunity to use Vayne here at the bot lane role. And he's played it multiple times and has hard carried his team to victories multiple times. And you now have a spell shield to keep him safe. You now have a J4 to put down terrain and have the Cataclysm with the knockup. Not a true tank, but definitely someone that can initiate and make it difficult to get to the back line. I expect to see tanks now and something that will have more secure CC. So maybe something like an Ornn, You can find, let's see, is Urgot on the map still? Urgot still in play? That might be something else as well. So good setup early on by Butler. They didn't quite counterpick too much. They don't have to counterpick the bot lane and say, hey, you're going to pick a scaler. We'll pick a later scaler. Okay, so there it is. So possible that it could be something tanky and engage here. For DePaul, they're still looking for, I think, their top lane carry. They're still waiting to see, hey, we're going to have to see one of these picks. We're going to have to see the mid or the top laner, and then we will pick into one of those matchups and then blind pick a relatively safe matchup. So we're not exactly sure which one it's going to be quite yet. Alexstrasza gonna go with the Sylas, and Sylas can go mid, can go top. I like this pick from Butler because it's flexible now. You can flex it into multiple different roles and out of a bad matchup into a better matchup. So DePaul might be stuck into figuring out, all right, do we just pick 2 good matchups into Sylas, which could open them up somewhere else, or figure out how they're going to play.
And I like what DePaul is doing right now. If they do end up locking in the Snamis, there's the initiation for them. They're going to have some variable ways to go in. So obviously, you have the biggest snowball ever. You see it coming from a mile away. But if they can find that opening initiation, that they are there, aren't have to follow up there with the tidal wave. I like this because it's going to give the option, or it's going to facilitate Kamcha and Boris to reposition through all of this. And that's going to be tough to.
I'm not going to take that bait here.
Okay.
I'd love to see what it is.
All right.
Okay, there it is.
He's not going to play a tank.
No.
He's not going to play a tank.
Tryndamere's not quite a tank. Tryndamer is just a split-pushing monster that can snowball out of control if it comes.
In general, Brown Mandaris, he's like,
That's
he
true.
wants to make plays.
He's definitely on a playmaker with the Yasuo, and that can go into a decent matchup. Not really countering too much any of these champs, but just a champ where he's like, hey, I'm the best player in the league. I'm going to get farmed and carry, and I will outplay you later on in the game. And Butler says, yes, that's correct, sir. So we'll pick a Shen and focus on the bottom side of the map and break the game that way. So it's very clear what Butler wants to do here. You have a Sylas in the mid lane that's just going to try to farm up against the Cass. Cassiopeia likes to either stay in this mid-range safety, and that's why the miasma can only be spread at a specific length. But if you can get in full combo and all in at Cassiopeia, like what a Sylas can do, that's how you counter it. So that's going to be a difficult matchup. Yep, there we go. They're going to lock it in at the mid lane position. So that's going to be a difficult matchup here for Kamcha against one of the better mids, the most improved mid in the league in Renegade Mac. And then on the bottom side of the map, Alexstrasza has so many shields to keep him alive. He has the Morgana Black Shield. He'll have Shen stand united at level 6. It's going to be a lot on him to bring that AD. And I'm worried about Master Gamer Live here. Master Gamer Live has been a player that's been able to slide by based off of the play of Renegade Mac and Alexstrasza. He needs to make sure that he's there on time and making sure that when he engages, they're going to get a kill. Because if he doesn't get a kill, Nunu's going to be coming down the river with the big snowball. Willem's going to be shoving that right on in, and it's going to lead to great counter gank potential for DePaul. So when you engage Master Gamer, he needs to make sure that he's able to finish the fight.
Every single Cataclysm needs to result in the kill. I think it's that simple. Every single time he commits, every single time the team is there, the synergy, the communication, it all needs to be perfectly aligned, because if they go in, they blow those key ults, the amount of counter initiation, as you said, coming from the side of DePaul is going to be too much to deal with. They're going to be tidal wave back. It's going to be a lot of different stuff they're going to have to deal with there. I'm excited to see what this bottom lane matchup is going to look like, though, because as you said, that is where Butler needs to thrive.
Yeah, and these are the 2 best bot lanes in the league, no doubt about it. These are the 2 best bot laners in the league. I think, there's something to be said for Bilito, probably one of the best supports in the league, but the 2 AD carries, my money is always going to be on these 2 gents here. They're going to have a fantastic fight as we get into our first game.
Let's get into it right now. Our very first game of the day, DePaul going up against Butler. Butler, of course, fighting to separate themselves from Seton Hall. They do have that tie-break win, of course, but they still want to get these last few wins in to secure their spot. They want to go back up against Villanova in the playoffs. They want to show that that win in week number 1 wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, and I think they have a fantastic test here in DePaul. DePaul needs to be the team that gets them over the hump. It's always like you have like the revenge game against your rival school, but there's the other school that's like a little bit better than both you guys. If you can beat them, you have so much momentum going into the playoffs. And Butler's already basically in. They're all like, the only way they don't get in is if it's a cataclysmic failure.
Ooh,
Like,
nice.
yeah, that's what I would say if they're not able to get in. As they have one more set of games next week as well. That'll be up against Providence. Providence has yet to find a victory this season, and they just need one game win, not even a whole set win, one game win to make it into the playoffs against Butler. So in this DePaul game, hey, put it out on the line, see what you can do, test your mettle against what you know to be is the class of the league, and see what you're made of. Like, really see what you're made of and see if you can see if you guys have the championship pedigree, because you're going from last place into one of the top teams now. Make it happen. Test it out. Let it fly, and let's see what sticks.
I agree. I feel like this is really the shot for all the improvement that we've been seeing from Butler all season long. This is the culmination of that right now. And yeah, it's not necessarily the last week, but this was the challenge. This is the raid boss at the end of the dungeon right now. It is DePaul. It is the squad that has looked so consistent from day one. And this is your shot to prove that all the training, all the practice, all the scrims, all the research, the analytics, it's all paid off. It's all worth it for something. I'm making a big assumption that they're doing all of that, of course, but I'm sure they are. There's a lot of work going with these teams.
Yeah, so you see the junglers going normal routes on the bottom side of the map, and they're just going to go inverted here, a little Australian, if you will. Nunu's going to invade the bottom side of the map. J4 is going to go to the top side of the map, so red buffs start for both of them, and then just go across to the Scuttle Crabs and take a peek to see if the blue buffs are there. Yes, they are, and they'll switch. You can see the pings going down as well right now,
I like
saying,
this.
hey, look, they're in our jungle, so bot lane for Butler stays safe. Top lane for DePaul, Brown Man Darius stays safe because J4 could be coming. And usually the first gank, if you do this type of rotation, this type of pathing from the jungle, comes around 3 minutes, 3:15. And so they should be notifying each other of it, communicate that. And with these great players, Alex Strauss on the bottom side leading the way for Butler, and on the top side, Brown Man Darius for DePaul, you should know it's coming.
I think it's so fascinating that both of these jungles are pulling a perfect mirror right now. Because of that communication, like you mentioned, they know they have the freedom and the flexibility to do that right now. We are actually seeing perfect mirrored play. It seems like both of these players have done their research on what their opponents are doing in this matchup, and they're looking to counter it, or in this case, just get as much value as they can.
Yeah, and there was some talk earlier, probably about 2 years ago, when lane swaps were in the meta, where you just had to understand how to play when this happens. It's like, hey, look, they decide to do this. We opt into agreeing and not fighting over the buff with our champions early on. So therefore, this is how we counter it. You start by playing a little more aggressive on the top side, a little more defensive on the bottom side. And you can see the CS discrepancy right now. DeBoss, if he picks up the CS here under turret, will be up in a aggressive versus, you know, the carry versus tank matchup that we've been talking about over and over again. And you can see both teams actually just playing safe, under turret.
Gets them all.
Yeah, and gets them all. So it's about repetition and understanding, hey, look, this is not standard pathing, so what do we do now? And through practice and repetition, communication, VOD review, you just understand, like, hey, look, top side has to play a little bit safer, bottom side has to play a little bit more aggressive and push the advantage that we have because their junglers there. Both junglers clear out their camps. You can see on Master Gamer Live, just going to head on over to his Wolves and then clear that out as well. He's already gone back, got his Skirmisher Saber. Both of them have that item and have the same similar items. A little bit of a CS lead for Master Gamer Live, but he's clearing out some camps as well. And now that we've had that little bit of an inverted early game, we might be able to see our first bit of action as Scuttle Crab's coming up and Master Gamer is rotating. Oh, spots out a ward, and that knowledge means it's a little bit. It's a great time to continue farming.
I agree, and I love the fact that we're profiling Master Gamer Live at the start here, and we're putting a lot of eyes on him because he's the player that we've identified over on Butler who's going to need to continue to step up. Not that he's necessarily been playing poorly by any stretch, but it just seems like, as you said, he's sort of been relying on a lot of his teammates to do some of the heavy lifting here. And he is really going to need to step up for his squad because every single member of DePaul can do the work. So we need to see there's no slacking on the side of Butler. Every single player needs to make sure they're pulling their weight and beyond if they hope of taking down DePaul.
That's right. Bang even right now, 7.8 gold, because it's been mirrored. It's mirrored all the way across the map. The CS is basically equal on the top. In the mid lane, that's where the biggest discrepancy is right now. And we've been lauding Renegade Mac for all of his improvements from last season and his leadership qualities to lead this Butler squad from a winless season, now in playoff position, pushing a second seed here. But with the awkward back timing, Cass is able to get a better buy off the first bag, get the Lost Chapter to stay in lane, has more mana, gets the mana restoration on the level up, and just a couple of Dark Seals here for Renegade Mac getting the value buy.
One of the things I have to say that I'm a fan of is how DePass is playing this top lane. I probably cursed him now. He's probably going to die. But the fact that he's been able to go relatively even so far, he is forcing for the flash, and I absolutely cursed. I
definitely cursed him.
I definitely cursed him. That was my bad, dude. Okay. Well, up until that point, he was doing really well. He was actually going relatively even, and his job in that situation was not to lose top. He needed to not give over a kill early, which is exactly what we just saw. So now we are seeing the counter initiation, the ults being popped, going on to Kamcha. Oh, he's actually able to do it. Renegade Mac coming out on top there. Beautiful timing off the back of the Petrifying Gaze. Thinking he had a little bit more gas in the tank was Kamcha, so getting a return kill for Butler, going 1-1.
Oh, here comes the slime ball. Nope.
Nope.
Nope, just kidding. But fantastic play there by Renegade Mac. Looking like he was caught out, able to hijack the ultimate Petrifying Gaze from Kamcha, freezing him, and it looked like he was going to get stuck under turret, but Kamcha stayed right outside of turret range, so Kamcha's thinking, hey, look, I'm not taking any turret shots. I'm going to have my ult. We'll be able to turn this one around. But with the amount of burst damage coming out of Kingslayer when you land the Abscond Abduct, plus the Chain Lash, he stayed alive. And I think it was actually the Poison Tick from Petrifying Gaze that took down Kamcha. Unfortunate here. Now we have a fight around the Drake.
The nice stun going, though, onto Nudu to start this up. This might fight is going to be there, but Butler will have it, securing the kill as well. Nice play from them, committing enough resources to make sure they're able to get it done. That was exactly it. You know, DePaul thought they could do it with just 3 members there, but no, Butler's saying, we want this right now. They picked up a kill to boot, up 2 kills to 1 now, and a little bit of gold as well. Let's look at that again, Degon.
Yeah, and I don't know what the Sheckler was thinking here. The position was clearly on the side of Butler. The Bulldogs got there first. They had vision down. He takes the blast cone over, and he's trying to consume it, but great condemn there by Alexstrasza, forcing an early flash out of the Kingslayer. And that's all she wrote. So the Sheckler goes down early, but now Alexstrasza in a little bit of trouble, forced to flash away. He'll stay safe, but now a gank in the mid lane heading on in, and Kamcha able to get away from that one. Burns his flash, so successful game from Master Gamer Live. We've been looking for him to be active, and he's been doing so far, but here comes another gank.
Sheckler goes in with the biggest snowball ever. This is now a 2v2, make it a 3v2 situation. What started out so well for Butler is turning on its head. There's the Tonka in, trying to bring him back on through. Brownman Darius is now running back underneath this turret. 1 kill going over as Kamcha gets picked up.
Again, very active early game here for Master Gamer Live. We got lulled to safety for the first 5 minutes, and then Master Gamer says, hey guys, it's time to go. I hit level 6, I got my items, let's start pushing the tempo. Renegade Mac making his own small lead in the mid lane. Now you're seeing Kamcha for the first time, I think throughout the whole season, under a little bit of fire here. He's always been consistent, sitting at like 0-0-0 for a long time. Rarely have we seen him die twice without a kill, without an assist. And he's starting to fall behind Renegade Mac, liking this pick here early on by the Butler Bulldogs to put Kamcha in an uncomfortable position and taking away the Serpent from Renegade Mac that he's made his name for. I like it because if you're the master of that champion, you're the one that knows its weaknesses. You know when to go in, when you dislike getting engaged upon, and he's doing it right now to perfection against Kamcha. 2-0-1, 100% kill percentage. And now the opening here is in the mid lane for the Butler Bulldogs. We had a lot of hopes here for Alexstrasza. Opportunity for Renegade Mac now to carry as well.
I love this. I love putting Renegade Mac on a champ that he can make these plays with. He's the one leading the charge for his squad. And again, Kamcha normally just plays a fairly passive lane. He sits back, he farms, doesn't really do a whole lot, relies on Brownman Darius, relies on the Sheckler to gank, to make some big plays happen. But now, the pressure's being put on him, and as you said, I don't think he knows quite how to respond to this. If Butler can continue to snowball this at all, if they can look towards Rift Herald when that spawns, if they can get an opening turret to start things off, that could really be DePaul in the backstep.
Yep, I think they're on the backstep right now. It's only an 800 gold lead, but how often do they find themselves behind, mainly through the mid lane? I do think that Kamcha will be able to work his way back in. He always does. And even then, even if he's not falling behind in the mid lane, it isn't until a couple of mid-game fights around 12, 15 minutes where he truly starts to shine and show off what he's made of. He'll still get there. It'll just take a little bit longer to reach that point, as well as he can't be as reckless with his fights as you can see Boris just playing over-aggressive.
Hoffenator's in a bit of a rough spot. He's forced to flash out, pop the stopwatch as well, but now does Alexstrasza in a bit of a rough position. Forces the Black Shield on himself. His teammate out to dry right there. Misallocation of resources. His 2 TPs are coming down right now, but DeBoss is forced to instantly back. And now Brandman Darius is here, can help augment this push.
We were just saying, hey, what's going to happen? Kamcha's on the back foot. Boris says, follow me, lads. I'll lead the way. Steps right on into the face of Hoffenator with the spell shield. No binding, no problem. And great bubble landing by Hunky Hank. If that doesn't land, this just turns into a botch engage, very much like what's happening right now. Brandman Darius going in and in a lot of trouble. The Ignite does go down. He's very low. The flash forward. Auto attack leads to the kill. Now DeBoss heading on over on the top side of the map. Who got the Rift Herald? Not exactly sure, but the fight goes on. Renegade Mac picks up a kill. And it looks like as well, Butler gets the Rift Herald. So much heading on over to Butler. 2 kills and a Rift Herald after a botch dive on the bottom side of the map.
This is exactly what I was talking about, Degon. Watching this back at the start, DePaul thinking they can do a little bit more than they can. Let's watch this back. This is what is going on with the Rift Herald during all that. Oh, the Sheckler just in a bit of a rough spot. That Cataclysm was perfect. Sealed him in exactly. That's what you were looking for there. Every Cataclysm should equal a kill. This is what I wanted from the side of Butler. They get the Rift Herald down. They're going to get a turret. This is every single correct decision from them.
Yeah, this is a fantastic start so far here for Butler. I think the Sheckler now 0-2 on Smite fights so far in this game. But don't overstay. Nope, no overstay here. Minion's going to keep Master Gamer alive for a little bit longer. Ran out of mana, but no problem. Interesting call to lane swap here.
Yeah.
I think it's just because Shen has done his job, and Yasuo will not be able to keep up in terms of map pressure because DeBoss does have Stand United, but you don't want to have the Shen stand united away from the team. You want him to join into the team and get the numbers advantage. So smart call here to slow it down. However, it does lead to tempo loss. And now the second Infernal Drake heading on over to Butler. This has been a dream start for the boys at Butler.
Yeah, this has been about the best opening they could hope for right now. They have given up a few kills, but they've been able to get positive trades. They've been able to get map objectives. They've been able to do good turret damage to start this off. They've laid the groundwork for future success, and they have that great late game scaling. The Vayne is going to be here. Alexstrasza is going to be there. Oh my, this is going to get terrifying in the late game because we constantly compliment Alexstrasza, how well he is able to play when put in a carry position, when he's able to do that carrying, how good he looks. We are seeing a gank rotation coming in right now. Alexstrasza, the Black Shield has already been burned. He's forced to flash early, dodging up the tidal wave. That is going to be it. Using everything at his disposal, but walking away scot-free.
Yeah, and that's the power of having a Yasuo. Yasuo 1-1-1 and Brandman Darius on it. That pressure that he provides messes up the communication. A binding was coming out of Hoffenator to stop the aggression that Brandman Darius just stepped up. However, miscommunication, Alexstrasza condemns him. The binding misses. The Black Shield does go down, but he's forced to flash early because he does not want to get engaged on. He also doesn't want the Black Shield to run out while the tidal wave was coming. So you flash early, stay alive, understand that now you have to play even safer as a little bit of action here on the top side of the map. But I'm liking the play that Brandman Darius is doing. He's continually staying aggressive without feeding and has found himself a massive gold lead now against the Shen. This is what is expected. So what will be the next play for DeBoss? He does have Stand United. I think the next Stand United that he uses will cost him the turret, so they need to make sure they get an objective off of this. If they go aggressive on the bottom side of the map, go with a 3-4 man dive, the Shen needs to make sure that the rest of Butler picks up a kill.
We see the pressure continuing down here in the bottom. The lane swaps were a little bit short-lived. We look like we have reset things again once more. DePaul, I think, realizing that, okay, maybe we can continue to lane this out here. We don't want to lose too much on either side here. I think it's a smart move from them. The Sheckler has felt not super impactful here in this game, which is kind of reminiscent of what we saw last week from them. The Nunu not really connecting on those snowballs a lot early, did end up doing a lot more in these fights later on. But once again, a bit of a lackluster start here from the Sheckler.
Yeah, he missed the smite early on. After that, he gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar going after the Rift Herald. His pathing hasn't been the greatest Master Gamer Live has just been able to be on the front foot, and so the Shegler hasn't been around to be on the counter, and it showed. It showed in his play right now, and he's still farming up. He is getting tanky. He does have Cinderhulk to help out in these team fights and be that tanky frontliner, but he's contributed to the lead that Butler has right now, and he needs to make sure at the next objective, get the vision game going, be there first. That's where Nunu is a monster. When he's able to get to an objective first and then be that tanky frontliner as well as having absolute zero ready and primed to go, it creates just a terrain that no one wants to walk on, no one wants to get near, and it's a nuisance when he's first to a spot. But he needs to make that a priority, and right now, no real major objectives quite yet. Drake will be up in about 1:40, but so far this game's been back and forth.
It has, and slightly being built up by Butler, but one big team fight can turn all that on its head. We don't want to make it sound like DePaul is out of this yet by any means. We know how strong they are in some of these team fights. Brown Bandera is allowed to go off in your back line. He will absolutely demolish you if left alone. A lot of this is going to come down to Hoffenator playing that support. These black shields will need to be absolutely perfect. The bindings will need to be on point. The communication dealing with that dive when it comes in is going to need to be there, because if they can do that, they have a chance in these fights.
I like this play here by Hoffenator. He runs down, sees Boris and Hunky Hank recalling, throws down the pool, Tormented Zoil, and stops the recalls. And now, this is why it's important to get the recalls stopped, because then you shove in, and it creates a later recall for the opposing team. So now, yes, they get to recall 8 seconds later. Doesn't sound like that much, but if you're able to get to the spot first, that's how you do it. You shove in your wave, you recall, and then if you see the other team recalling, you try to stop their recall so you can shove in the wave first and then rotate back and get to position on time. With 30 seconds left, I like this recall by both teams. Vayne and Morgana will get to the lane first. They'll shove down the lane. They could shove down the lane, then rotate to Drake. Instead, they're going to just head straight to the Drake and try to maintain position.
This next fight is going to be pretty darn important for both sides here when it comes to overall momentum. Fish is going through, as well as the bindings. Starting though onto the tank, not super optimal there. They're just getting a lot of vision. Both team, the salsa dance, the back and forth, both trying to just maintain dominance, river control right here. All 10 members are on the board.
You can see how all of Butler's just sitting right on top of each other. No one spread out. If, one ricochet here by Sivir would deal a lot of damage in it. Oh, is that an accident?
Ooh.
No,
okay.
It looks like they are starting up the Drake.
This is a bit of the mind game right now, maybe going up against a team like Butler, who's of course undefeated coming into this. Drake is being continued though. Bit of poke damage. Waiting for Brown Bandera, waiting for somebody to start the opening here. The counter initiation from Master Gamer Live. That Cataclysm needs to be absolutely perfect, but a lot of initial chip damage already going through onto the side of Butler. Paul's doing fairly good. There's the tidal wave. This is going to be the initiation into the back line. There is Darius, the stun. All the way everybody going in. Absolutely beautiful. Getting ripped to shreds right now is Butler. And in an instant, in a blink, they're gone. That is going to be all 5 members. That is going to be the ace going over to DePaul. They found their opening. They buttered them up just right. And they had their lunch.
That was incredible. What an engage here as we take a look at it one more time. I thought things were okay because Nami misses the ult, doesn't get a ton off of it. But then right afterwards, I believe it's a massive petrifying gaze holding everyone in position. So Shen gets caught up, and then bam, 1, 2, 3, 4 members stuck in position onto the absolute zero ultimate. Flash away by Alexstrasza doesn't mean anything. He goes down as well. And just like that, DePaul takes a commanding lead in the game after being in the back foot. We were asking, what's going to be your answer, DePaul? That's your answer. They take the 3rd Infernal Drake, first one for them, plus a massive gold lead and a dent into the map with a mid lane turret gone.
Talk about a wombo combo from DePaul, looking oh so solid in this game. And if you're just joining us for the first time and you're unaware of what you were looking at, you're looking at Big East Collegiate League of Legends. Brought to you by ESL because, of course, we're helping to set up some of this amazing Collegiate League of Legends action going into CLOL. These teams are playing in the Big East, fighting it out right now. And this particular match, oh so important because Butler is very close to making it into the playoffs. DePaul has been this undefeated juggernaut all season long. Butler, our Cinderella story, didn't get a single win last season, coming in now and vying for playoff contention.
Yeah, and it was looking good for Butler. They did things right until that last fight, and you can see how mechanics can make up for faulty macro play. In that single blink of an eye, DePaul erases their deficit. their mistakes from earlier, the deaths from Sheckler and Kamcha, and one big brown man, Darius Holt, puts it back in. And here's an opportunity that's a little scary. Nice stun there. And here goes a massive cataclysm. Takes down so many members of DePaul. And we were just praising them for their micro play. And instead they make a massive mistake. And just like that, again, Butler in there. The Sheckler tries to get the steal. And Butler back in the driver's seat. What just happened, Paul?
That was a hijack onto a petrifying gaze. It's almost like it's a really good. Let's watch this replay back one more time. Watch this initiation from the Sylas. They're going to go on in. He actually misses that initial that he has to force to burn everything to go right back off it. Hits everybody, dodges it out, and there's the Cataclysm. There's the absolute dunk, the alley-oop right there. And as you said, bringing Butler back in the driver's seat.
What the heck? Oh my gosh.
No, Master Gamer Live, don't die to the turret. Woo!
So Renegade Max says, hey, you know what? I know last time I hijacked that Nami ultimate, that Petrifying Gaze looks pretty good, and it got me that first kill in the 1v1 against Kamcha. He picks that one up and turns it around. What a nutty turnaround here. And Butler back in the driver's seat with Baron. And after going down 3,000 gold, they're up 2,000 gold, almost 3,000 gold. A swingy turn of events here in the first 22 minutes of the game.
We're starting to see some bounties built up over on the side of Butler. Alexstrasza 0-2-1 going into this, but he's going to continue to scale, be an absolute menace. That we do have two fairly decent late game scaling ADCs going on for both sides here. But somebody who's been relatively quiet so far this game, somebody who's, again, traditionally singing their praises, is Brown Man Darius. Yeah, he has some pretty good play on the Yasuo so far, but he just hasn't felt like the big impact, player that we're constantly used to seeing.
Well, I think he's gotten shut down early, and he had the big ultimate down in the third Infernal Drake fight. For me, it's Alexstrasza. Alexstrasza sitting at 0-2. That last team fight around the Baron pit, he was on the bottom side of map farming.
He was even
like,
there.
yeah, you guys got it. They're going to get it. I'm just going to farm up so that we can win late. Instead, big turnaround, Master Gamer Live and Renegade Max saying, hey man, there's been a couple games where you had to put us on your back. We got you in this one. 9-8's the score. The rotation down on the bottom side. There's your 3,000 gold lead. And now, map pressure and map control slowly slinking away from DePaul without Baron, and Baron pressure now being pressed upon them. They do have good wave clear with Cassiopeia and with the Sivir. Sivir not at a completed Zeal item yet, so that'll be a little difficult for him, but definitely can slow things down. All the while, though, DeBoss has TP and Stand United, 2 ways to get across the map. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an engage here from Butler or DePaul, and both TPs used, and then DeBoss using whatever he didn't use, so probably Stand United to get into the fight, and then using TP to go back out of the fight to utilize Baron smoothly and efficiently.
What I love the Butler is doing right now is they are using this Baron buff to its fullest potential right now. They're running the 4-1, then rotating Sylas into the mid to continue this pressure onto as many turrets as physically possible. You do mention that DePaul does have quite decent wave clear of their own, but I like the fact that Butler keeping their eye on the macro game. I think they realize that in a lot of these situations, DePaul is going to have maybe an advantage when it comes to just raw all-in mechanics of these fights. So they need to make sure they are one step ahead when it comes to this macro play.
Oh, you can see the disgusting damage coming out of Yasuo right now.
Okay, he's starting to hurt now.
2 auto attacks, and it's like, yeah, that's Yasuo.
That's enough for me. I'll see you next time.
Yasuo things. Doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel great to be the tank in the tank versus carry matchup, unless you're seeing your team get a ton of objectives out of it. However, we do have a bit of an engage in the mid lane. Nope, just building a slime ball to hit nothing. And so DePaul trying to stabilize after that initial throw from that Butler caught graciously.
Yes.
And with the Baron empowered buff finally fading, things kind of slow down. No major objective on the map. Nothing spawning for another 3 minutes, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a lull in the action. A bit of ward clearing, especially your own jungle. You want to make sure that that gets taken care of so you don't get TP'd upon when you're going to go get your camps. You don't get Fnatic bushed. But nice line of sight here so far in the river for Butler. They need to start going up as a team and getting even deeper vision yet again. That's where you find the next fight, and that's where you want to fight. You want to fight in the jungle because you have the Vayne that wants to use walls everywhere. You have a Master Gamer Live to put down the Cataclysm and create even more walls and more barriers to enter for the rest of the team.
Yeah, this is really slowing down a lot right now. I think both teams have realized they've kind of been given a gift here in this game. DePaul found the most optimal team fight they possibly could, and then Butler found the best counter initiation they could hope to get right there. And I think both teams are waiting and wanting not to be the one to make the next mistake, not be the one that throws it all away. And again, I want to remind everybody, if you are just joining us now, of course, this is not our only fantastic match of the day. We are going to have Villanova and St. John's up around 4 p.m. Pacific as well after this one. That's going to be sweet. Both schools are actually having these amazing on-campus events, these awesome viewing parties as well, so we're super excited to see the fans out live on campus checking out these games and root for their squads.
That's right, Villanova returning champs over in Philly. Get to see what their fans think of the team so far. Same with St. John's, their inaugural season here in the Big East. Had a solid showing early on and then lost to a couple of these playoff teams that they're vying against. I think they had difficulty here with Butler to find success. DePaul, they put up a good show but fell short. So these are their last 2 matches. They need to find victories here against Villanova, at least one, to hope to make the final and 4th playoff spot.
So as we're once again sort of maintaining this bit of a quiet pace right now, though I might have spoke too soon. I feel like I'm cursing this every single time I start to talk with this. I do. Hey, I'm actually really good luck for both these teams. If you want a lot of actions, we do see Master Gamer Live getting engaged upon going a little bit too deep, and then trying gaze. That is going to be a couple of quick kills. Forcing out the res right now, but he's in a terrible spot. There's a snowball going on in Master Gamer Live, trying to bail his teammate out. Not even a chance. Well, I was going to ask you about, like, oh, what do you do from here? How do you get yourself out of the situation if both teams have slowed down the pressure? How do you make it happen? That's how you do it right there.
Yeah, that was not very well thought out from Butler. That was almost inexplicable here by the Bulldogs.
He just really wanted vision, okay?
Yeah, but buddy system isn't good enough at this point in the game. You need to be going with the rest of your team. Yes, the Shen is the only one that can be that far away as we take another look at it. Not a lot to explain here just because Master Gamer Live walking right on into the rest of the team. Yes, you could see, don't die over wards. It's like, you fight over wards, but don't die over wards solo like that. Massive amounts of damage going down, your lane's not pushed up, your teammates aren't in a place to help you, and you give up Baron, you give up your life, and a lot of the momentum that you spent building up, and now DePaul, bang even, 45-7 to 45-7. And Butler and DePaul with the game in this balance, 28 minutes, very, very close.
So looking at this, we kind of touched on scaling earlier on in the game, Decom, but now that you've got a chance to see how this game is playing out and looking at their compositions a little bit more, who do you think has the advantage the later we go on this game?
It's tough. Tough to say. Yeah. But I would give it to DePaul just because you have 3 scaling carries with Brown Man, Darius, Ashek, Kamcha, and Boris on late game champions. Cassiopeia does fall off a little bit later, but Sivir is a monster later on. Yasuo can 1v9 even his own teammates.
Yep.
On the opposite side, you have Renegade Mac and Alexstrasza. Don't doubt the power of Evane, but Sivir late game, if she gets there first, which she is down in CS but up in gold because of kills and assists, hits multiple targets at once, and it just makes it so much harder for Vayne to dish out that type of damage. Vayne wants to 1v1 anyone, literally the 1v1 me bro champ. And Alexstrasza just has not had that opportunity. Renegade Mac goes in.
They're going in with the stolen ult. There's the Cataclysm as well, but instantly getting deleted is the junk over the side of Butler's trying to take down Boris in the back.
Alexstrasza.
All of his heals going to keep him up a little bit longer. He's going to go down, though. Alexstrasza is going off right now, trying to chase Hunky Hank. The Sheckler's going to be in as well, trying to dive underneath onto this Zinib turret, and going way too far is DePaul. Alexstrasza, what a monster!
Yeah, but Brown Man Darius is still alive. He picks up the quadrant, does Alexstrasza. He stayed untouched for such a long time. Kamcha did his best to buy time and slowed down the Vayne in that fight, but the lifesteal, tumble forward, great flash, you'll see it here. He's able to flash forward in just a second once the turret goes down. Good engage by Renegade Max to start it off. Didn't get too many. Good follow-up on Master Gamer Live, but you see this 1v1 on the right side of your screen. Alexstrasza is able to flash it right there, away from the petrifying gaze. So no stun there. The damage does come out. Good bubble to buy a little bit of time by Hunky Hank, but it's just a matter of time here.
And
boop.
Nope.
Flying sushi.
That's exactly what that is. That's my favorite kind of sushi.
That's right. So Butler hold, but their base gets wrecked, and this all goes back to the fact that Master Gamer Live and Hoffenator get caught fighting over a control war deep in the opponent's base without teammate support. Our next fight might be before the summoners come up. One flash for the side of DePaul in for Sheckler, and no flashes for Butler. Not going to be a problem here, maybe. Oh, bubble does land. This might be the engage.
This is the tidal wave going on and connecting onto multiple members.
Good
the Black
shield.
Shield's going to keep Renegade Max a little bit longer, but they still have to give one person up for this. It's going to be Master Gamer Lives. Renegade Max trying to get himself out as well, but he's in a rough spot. Between a rock and a hard place right now. Good night, Sweet Prince. He's going to get gold for a little bit to try and survive just a bit longer, but this is 1v4. He ain't making it happen.
Yeah, and with that tempo loss, there is an open inhib. I believe the play here for Butler is to just sit back, give up that inhib. Oh boy, look at this. Alexstrasza getting a little bit greedy, trying to pick up the blue buff, might be picking up a death here. Able to walk away from the miasma, but here comes the slime ball. Oh, he hits the, that's so
that was
smart.
so smart.
He hits the wolves.
He's still in a really rough spot right now, trying to get himself out of this. The rest of the team is there. Don't necessarily face check all the bushes here, DePaul. As they are going on in, trying to take down this inhib. They will be able to do so. As you say, sit back, leave this uncontested. That did actually create a decent amount of space. They still didn't get the inhib, but this is giving time for the rest of the side of Butler to respawn as DePaul is looking to continue on the charge. And look towards the next inhib turret here. As I want to remind everybody of the standings going into this next fight. Though I might be not going to have a chance to do this. Hopefully I will here. Just reminding you that DePaul is currently undefeated, and Butler right now 5-3 on the playoffs ride on this match.
Yeah, they're vying for that second round spot against Villanova. You never know. Maybe DePaul drops a couple games next week. They do have their big matchup against Villanova later on. So Butler not only playing for playoff spot and playoff implications for themselves, but also for DePaul and Villanova for that #1 spot.
More turrets falling now for Butler. They don't have a whole lot left in terms of structures right now. The early macro advantage that they had has been given up slowly off the back of a couple of questionable positions. A couple of good picks by DePaul, bring them back into this right now and bring them back in terms of gold. But this is actually one of the most even matches we've seen. At the 32-minute mark, we are looking almost dead even in terms of gold. The question has to be, who's it going to? And I still have to look towards this 1,000 gold bounty onto Alexstrasza. Despite the fact he didn't have the best start in terms of kills, he's been able to just continue to stay alive, dish the damage, and absolutely be the MVP of that last big fight.
Yeah, and I'm also looking at Kamcha on the opposite side. He had the 1v1 he wanted against the Vayne, and yes, Vayne wins that if you win straight up. It's a skill matchup, and Vayne was able to flash away from the Petrifying Gaze. If you land the Petrifying Gaze, you kill the Vayne. That's most of the damage here for Butler. Renegade Mac, solid early game, hasn't had the same impact quite yet since then, is able to steal the Petrifying Gaze ultimate there, so that's a huge hijack for the mid laner of Butler, another tool for initiation and follow-up.
Keep an eye on that as we go into this next fight. Chen, of course, can be split pushing to Boston.
Yes.
Exactly what he needs to be doing right now. He have to get to this fight as he needs to, but ooh, the Pixel Brush Party Bush coming on in.
Yeah, you just gotta know. Gotta know
Just
they're
gotta
there. Know that they're there. Know that they're there.
Please know that they're there, Butler.
There it is. Good check. It does get started up now, so what will the call be? Stand United is ready, Teleport is ready. I'd assume it's a Stand United. Master Gamer Live just might have to go for the steal here. Get a look at the HP bar of Baron. The tidal wave does go down. Oh, the ult is wasted, though, by Renegade Mac. Doesn't hit anybody.
That's absolutely massive. Miasma doing a great job to try and split this while they try and take down the Baron. Master Gamer Live is on the flank. He is going to do it. He does able to steal
the Baron.
Absolutely huge.
It
Flashes
flashes
himself
away.
out. Master Gamer Live, we asked for you to step up. We asked for you to go clutch, and you're doing just that. DeBoss didn't even have to go in. He is back right now on the inhib turret.
They're slowing
Butler
the backs.
is going off.
Yeah, the backs are being slowed down, not quite stopped. Oh, the Sheckler gets betrayed by his teammates, and now Hoffenator might trade his life here. Good juke to not get Petrifying Gazed up. And so one does recall. It is the Yasuo taking down the boss, and this is not a fight that you want if you're the boss. You might need to try to get away. Oh no, that's you hate to see it.
Yeah, hate
but
to see
here
it.
goes the fight in the mid lane.
Cataclysm in the mid as well. That is one kill, but we are seeing the side of DePaul still standing through this. But Alexstrasza going in. Look at how much damage does the Blast continuing on this coming through. He's trying to get this. Kamcha getting absolutely shredded, and now it's Hunky getting 1v3, getting follow-up kill. Now it's Brandarius, the 1v1. Oh, punch the back. Oh, there's the stun and the kill. The triple kill coming in from Alexstrasza. The Lightbiter. What an absolute monster going clutch for the team. Going in onto this next inhib turret. Alexstrasza, what a monster.
But it all starts with Master Gamer Live stealing the Baron away after Renegade Mac threw away his hijacked ultimate. No problem, and Master Gamer Live having the game of his life. Just the Nami alive. Will he be able to buy enough time? Boris will be up in 13 seconds. I don't think so. DePaul, the team, hoping for the undefeated dream, gets stopped by the team that had no wins last season. Butler Bulldogs with a huge victory here in the matchup.
Butler going off in game number 1, ending the undefeated streak of DePaul. You love to see it if you're cheering for the underdog, the literal underdog in this situation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Bulldogs, that was a
great.
toss.
That was great.
That was a fantastic toss.
That was a
I
great
appreciate
toss.
it, buddy. The Bulldogs here, it was almost like hung around for such a long time, but they weren't just hanging around in the early game. They took an early game lead, and then you could see the growing pains there, figuring out, okay, how do we want to fight a team fight composition of the Nami with the Yasuo Knock-Up and the Cassiopeia. Failed a couple times, but found ways to get back in, getting into the Baron fight, stealing that final Baron, and Alexstrasza, with a rough early game, you touched on it, was able to find his footing and be the carry that they needed. But Master Gamer Live, someone that we didn't talk about, someone that we said, he's just there, he's okay.
He's doing all right.
Huge plays, facilitated the action. So much props to him, and congratulations to the Bulldogs with this early win and putting on the first loss against DePaul.
I think it's official. I think we get to dub Butler as the giant killers now, having taken down Villanova, having taken down DePaul. It's not just a fluke now. They've been improving every single week. And lucky for us, that's only game number 1. We're going to hop onto a short break. When we come back, DePaul, Butler, game 2. So don't go anywhere.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
Definition of a champion. Definition of a champion. Madison Square Garden. Name another place better for the Big East to take place, other than the Mecca. From the players on the court to the chants in the stands, this the origin of greatness, birthplace of the champions. I'm always a winner. Even if I fall, I can still get bigger. The definition of a champion. Definition of a champion. The Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden. Get tickets now.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to more amazing Big East regular season collegiate League of Legends action, where, as you can see, the plays are spicy. And game number 1, surprising many, going over to Butler, who have now come out of the gates doing what they wanted to do. They have built that separation in between themselves and Seton Hall. If you're just joining us, welcome back once again. I'm Inverum, that's D-Gon. As we got to witness one heck of a first game.
Yeah, and with that victory, Butler secures themselves at least 500 for the season. This is a team that, when it was best of threes last season, went 0-5. Not a single victory. Here, already 6 wins. That's a fantastic accomplishment for them right now, and they're looking for more in game 2.
Oh yeah, but game 1 was still amazing, so let's take a look at some highlights from it, though. Before we get too invested in game number 2, we had to talk about these amazing moments. This initiation from DePaul, the initiation they were looking for, the wombo combo they were hoping to execute. They made it work. It was brilliant. It was gorgeous, and they never did it again.
Well, yeah, but really at that point, that's what they needed. They were down several kills, 2 Infernal Drakes, a third one spawns. It would be very difficult to come back, so it looks real good. But then look at this flash engage by Renegade Mac, hijacks the Cassiopeia ult, followed up by Master Gamer Live, who probably played one of the best games that we've seen him play in the past 2 years.
I would say the best.
Leading the team back in, and then, again, this is a hectic fight on the bottom right side. Finally, Alexstrasza, where you been, comes online, able to pick up a quadra in this fight, winning the 1v1 again against the Cassiopeia. He's able to clear out these couple of kills, and that leads to the play of the game. Although that they won that last team fight, huge steal for Master Gamer Live, and it's a game to forget if you're the Sheckler. Multiple times he was outsmited, missing smite, wasn't able to get the job done, then being forced to engage against a Baron-empowered team. DePaul, on their last stand, gets caught out here. You wish that right there you see the wind wall. Instead, he sees a couple of bolts coming right into his face, and down he goes. Big win here for Butler.
Big win here for Butler, going up 6-3 now in the overall standings. Softly securing themselves third place for now. There is some math configuration where that's not possible. Right now, they're looking really good to secure that playoff spot, secure that third place spot. And see those 1 losses for Villanova and DePaul? Yeah, guess where those came from? Those came from Butler, the Giant Killers here, showing that they deserve a spot here in the playoffs just as much as any other team. And lucky for us, D-Gon, as I said, that's only game number 1.
Yeah, that's right. I expect to see a much more solid draft out of the side of DePaul. You know, speaking with a couple of guys that were watching the match as well, it looks like they needed more engage. You know, it's such a slow engage from the Nunu, from the Nami. When you're able to get to a position first, you want to get to the Baron Pit first, you want to get to the Dragon Pit first, then you're able to line those up because it's relatively easy. You have position, they have to come at you, well then you shoot your ult at them. But there were so few fights where they were at a Baron Pit first or at a Dragon Pit first, getting the vision, setting it up so that they could play their team composition correctly.
And the one time it did happen, they were so stacked that it beautifully hijacked Petrifying Gaze, caught them all out. Combine that with a bit of a cataclysm, and it was a cataclysmic disaster for DePaul because then they were stacked up way too much. They found themselves, they had the position, but absolutely I agree. I think initiation or lack thereof was an issue for them. When the Aswa was going in, he was separating himself from the team, but yeah, he was getting into the back line, but he was leaving some of his members also a bit exposed. And with the Vayne on that flank every single time, capitalizing on it.
Yeah, and the one time where they do get it right, over at the Baron Pit, Master Gamer Live comes up with a huge steal there. And like, that feels bad because you took the right steps. If you're DePaul, you could possibly you stall out that Baron dance just a little bit longer because there is no mid-inhib turret, so your mid-inhib minions would just go hit their inhib. That's what's going to happen. So if you stall that out, play that dance, it works out. Someone has to go back, call that wave, but then go in at the Baron Pit and you get caught out. Pretty tough. Tough way to lose.
Pretty tough. But that's only game number 1. DePaul is not out of it yet. They have a chance to take it back here in game number 2, and it all starts right here in the draft. DePaul, of course, undefeated up until this point. They are a squad. Again, tons of impressive names on it. And it's interesting because when we got some feedback, or not feedback, we talked to a member over at Villanova a little earlier on in the season. We heard, oh, but DePaul's not all that. They're a one-man team. That's all they're about. It's just Brown Man Darius. That's it. And Brown Man Darius was surprisingly quiet in that last game. I mean, again, not necessarily his fault. Had a little bit of a rough start there, for sure. But it's interesting that if he's even a little bit quiet, the rest of the team struggled a bit, and I think a lot of that had to do with just the ineffectiveness of the jungler. Not necessarily with the Sheckler's rotations, not necessarily what he was doing, but I feel like the Nunu just wasn't the call.
Yeah, but I think it's mostly the team composition there, right? It was about team fighting so that he could get knockups and not make kills on his own. DeBoss did feed over 1 kill early as the Shen against the Yasuo. But after that, he did a fantastic job not taking fights. Like, don't fight me. I don't want to fight you. Leave me alone. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the map. There was a couple of weird lane swaps that happened. It looked like it was initiated by DePaul, but DeBoss did a good job saying, hey, look, okay, you're going to be down there. I'll be up here. I will stay safe for a little bit. Butler going to get themselves on in a couple bans. So no Darius, no Riven. Jax, they know who the focal point is. They'll stick with that. On the opposite side, Vayne removed.
Yeah.
Thresh still taken away from Centurion.
And now the Morgana gets a respect ban too.
And Morgana gets taken away as well. So a couple of knee-jerk bans that opens up a different champ pool here for Butler. They will still get Master Gamer Live on the J4. He had a fantastic game, but no more playing around on the bottom side of the map.
This is the pair.
We're not going to scale with the Sivir and play safe. We're going to get in your face and make you earn your money. Boris and Hunky Hank going with the Lucian Braum, oppressive bot lane. And Butler might be opting into it with an Alistar saying, hey, you might stun me, but then I'm going to headbutt pulverize you. The classic combo that's been around forever. And that'll be in the hands of Centurion and Alexstrasza on the bottom side of the map. And a Vladimir picked up, again, can go top, but probably going mid. We've seen Renegade Mac use Vlad before. Surprising because Cassiopeia is still up. And instead, it's going to be a Zoe locked in for DePaul. No problems there. So maybe a little bit of flexibility here with this draft. You can put J4 in the top lane. You can put Vladimir in the top lane. So there are a couple different ways that this can go.
Part of me is thinking that this is almost a potential, I mean, maybe not wanting to waste a ban on the Sylas per se, but this is maybe just a little bit like they could still flex the Sylas in here somewhere. You know, the Cassiopeia, as great as she was, when we lost these fights, oftentimes it was off the back of some really good petrifying gazes that were hijacked. I'm getting a little bit meta with this thought process here, but there is some potential back and forth there that they're thinking about because, again, as you mentioned, a lot of flexibility still on the side of Butler here. We have a very clear idea of how DePaul is going to lane this. Butler, so much a little more amorphous in this one.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it seems like
it's
still
probably
waiting.
still a jungle. It's probably still a support. And it's probably still a mid. Yeah,
you're
totally.
looking at a top and an 80 carry pick here for Alexstrasza and Centurion. So you'll get one counter pick here on the go around against DePaul, seeing where it goes. I like the bans here. Make sure no way that Brown Mandarius gets any sort of playmaking champ with the Yasuo and the Aurelia on the opposite side. Knocking down Alexstrasza's champ pool. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on a Caitlyn or something a little bit further back. You could get a Jinx if you want to play the scaling game, but that's very difficult with the amount of pick potential and early game pressure that they have with the Zoe, with the now Xin Zhao, one of the strongest early game junglers, gets around, nice gank, and then the oppressive bot lane duo. Interesting to see what Butler goes with here.
I like this a lot more coming in from the Sheckler in game number 2. This is just a much more solid, stable
and this
pick.
is what he's known for.
Exactly. Again, to me, it felt like he was trying to develop this new pick. He was trying to make it work. He was trying to make it kind of become his things. You predicted Caitlyn exactly right. And now I feel like it's, all right, enough messing around time, guys. We went and goofed. Let's go back in and take this a little more seriously. And the Shen coming out once more. I think that's a perfectly fine pick here for DeBoss. He played it, again, other than that one death in the early game, he played it exactly how he needed to.
Yeah, I think you kind of waste your counter pick opportunity because you have the Vlad there. Maybe if you go Caitlyn early here instead of the Vladimir, you're able to be more flexible with your picks. You don't get to utilize your counter pick here because you already shown your mid laner. You know what their mid laner is, so now you're just giving another counter pick to DePaul, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, in the best player in Brown Mandarius. It's going to be a Camille. We haven't seen a Camille all season long. Hextech ultimatum, hook shots off the wall. So that's definitely a carry matchup. And then eventually a split pusher, again, against this Shen. Not as effective, I think, as a Yasuo once he gets snowballing, but a lot of outplay potential. Just the type of champion that Brown Mandarius would like.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, the changes that were made to her a couple patches back, basically entirely negating her ability to be a jungle. Riot clearly saying, we want Camille to be a top laner, everybody.
Yep.
And Brown Mandarius will answer the call, bringing her in here. So I like this. I think this is a much more even draft. Now in game number 2, this seems like a lot more just tried and true for DePaul. They're not trying to do anything crazy. They're not trying to, go overboard right now. I am a little bit surprised that they're not opting into this Cass again once more because of how consistent Kamcha has been with it. But clearly feeling that Zoe has an advantage in this matchup here. That's what they're going to do.
Well,
again, they were lacking secure ways of CC.
Yeah.
Secure CC. And with the Zoe Sleepy Bubble Trouble, not only is it effective if it lands, but it's spammable, relatively spammable. It's not an ult, so you get to drop it every 20, 25 seconds looking for some sort of engage there. So I do like this. It kind of secures that part up. Also, you have the Hextech Ultimatum. Like, hey, we're going to fight you, and we're going to fight you right here, right now. So Camille coming in will have that as well. But I'm not sure if you want your Camille to be your initiator, especially if he's the carry. So you need to make sure if you're the side of DePaul, you put some resources into that top laner. Pay the guy, or ride the horse that got you to the saloon. I made that up right there.
That was actually not too bad.
Yeah.
Pay the horse that got you to the saloon. Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's what he said, right? Absolutely. That was that was the phrase. My big questions are coming down to if Master Gamer Live can perform once again on this J4 and how that interaction with Cataclysm, Hextech Ultimatum. Let's fight right here, right now. 2 ults that want to do that. Which team will come out on top? It's everybody go in. Let's press R. Let's have some fun. Well, fun for us anyway because we get to commentate it.
Yeah. And again, stakes for both teams very high. DePaul, if they lose this, they might lose grasp of first place.
That is a lot on the line here for these teams. Let's get into game number 2. Let's not keep you waiting any longer. And as you mentioned, yes, if Villanova can bring in a couple wins of their own here, DePaul is legitimately looking at losing this first place spot that they so, well, not easily, but I guess somewhat easily held on to all season long. We're reminiscing a little bit from last season. We're seeing basically the exact same thing happen where right at the end of everything, DePaul let it slip, and Villanova right on past.
Yeah, and Villanova go right on past to the championship. That will be the matchup next week, but right now, Butler. It's so interesting to see him 1-0 against DePaul. DePaul with their first loss of the season. This will be their first opportunity since losing the championship to respond to adversity. They fell again in the championship, like you said. They need to find the answer here with their team composition. The Sheckler needs to have a much better game. He is a solid jungler, and he had a very liquid game. He needs to rock on up, turn back into ice, ice cold, ice in his veins.
Wonder where you're going with that.
And make sure he lands some smites.
I mean, he's not the one. Okay, he's not the one on Braum. No ice in his veins. No. Okay.
No, he's the Xin Zhao with the pointy spear.
I got that.
All right. You asked a question, gave you an answer.
That's the Freylord reference. Anyway, come with me, Dagon. Come with me on this wild and wonderful adventure as we're seeing no crazy invades, nothing too bizarre going on. No real surprise there at all. We'll see if the junglers continue to take that same, as you mentioned, Australian-style routing as we saw in game number 1, or if they are going to mix it up and maybe have a little bit more action to start this off. We are seeing relatively similar entrances. We're going towards those Scuttle Crabs here in just a bit. Not have to do it right off that buff.
And again, just inverted lanes here. So the Sheckler going to clear out his top side jungle, then go after Scuttle Crab, possibly look for the blue buff as well. J4 might be going for an early gank here on the bottom side of the map. No, just goes through Tribush, and we'll head on over to the Scuttle Crab as well. Both junglers took a look at a gank. The Sheckler looking at mid lane, took a quick step there. Instead, he'll clear out the Scuttle Crab and continue on the jungle path. Again, don't expect any ganks until the 3-minute mark unless they do a level 2 gank, which is effective and can burn flashes, but if you don't burn flashes, now you are very far behind in tempo in the jungle, clearing out your camps and knowing exactly where you're going to get red.
Yep, and speaking of getting red, we are actually seeing the pings coming out here, everybody realizing that we are seeing once again the exact same jungle rotation going in, and look to take each other's blue buffs. So once again, the gentlemanly agreement of, let's just go farm our things. Here, have some of my jungle, have some of mine as well. And they're British now. And that's how we're basically seeing this all come together. No real surprise. I actually think it's interesting, kind of the way the J4 is positioned there. It's almost like he was baiting to try and see if there was a ward Tribush, to see if there was going to be any sort of response, as we are seeing a rotation coming in now onto Renegade Mac the mid. You're just able to walk away. Gotta feel good.
Just read that one, realized, hey, look, the pressure's on the top side. My jungler's on the bottom side. I need to hug the bottom side junglers. Get a little bit of vision there. You can see the ping going down by Sheckler onto Master Gamer Live saying, hey, look, here's the J4. Just be careful of the gank. He's going to be at Raptors, and he's got Wolves and Gromp. And that's how you call out things as a jungler. You say, hey, okay, they're probably at this camp. They want to clear it out. You know exactly how many minions and what types of camps they need to hit what level, what gold they have. And once they hit those item breaks, you know where you need to be. You look on the top side of the map. Not a fun time yet again for the boss. Winning feels good, but the losing while your team is winning has to feel bad.
Yeah, that's, again, His job here in this matchup is just not to
Don't
feed the
say
machine.
it. You're gonna
Wait.
Don't say it. You're gonna
Sorry.
curse him.
Sorry. His job is to.
His job is to do his
you
job
say it.
as a tanky man.
Yes, do his job as a tanky man and not facilitate any grievous actions by a rival player who occupies the same lane space.
Well,
there we
as
go.
soon as you said that, now his health is at less than half.
I
and
tried really hard not to curse him, guys.
Camille is
I swear.
taking it to him.
Oh no, I mean the heel blade, not fun to deal with at all. Just right in the face. And yeah, I mean Brown Banderas is playing this just straight up exactly how he needs to be right here. Toboss though, traditionally he's done a very good job on the Shen of farming up underneath his turret. This is a position he's pretty good in. Has been able to maintain a consistent CS despite the pressure that Brown Banderas
You're doing it again, dude.
I'm just gonna stop talking about this lane matchup now. D-God, back to you.
Yeah, Boss is just trying to hold on until the game gets later and later. He's done an okay job farming up, able to line up the CS there. There we go. We'll get the last one as well, and finds himself, thanks to Paul,
Yeah, sorry guys.
in a deficit against DePaul. 8 CS down. That's about one whole minion wave, 125, 150 gold. Not the worst lead in the world. Both of them waiting to hit level 6. I expected to see the Sheckler try to make a roam up top at some point so that they can take advantage of the lane power of the Camille when she hits level 6.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as we're seeing the hookshot go in. Nice dodge there from the boss. Brown Banderas still has more than enough damage to try and get this done. Being baited back in the turret, taking a free shot there as well as we are seeing a gank going in the mid as well. The Sheckler is trying to make something happen. Burning Flash trying to take down Renegade Mac, who's able to get himself out as well. Nicely done. Once again, reading this rotation coming in from the Sheckler, able to get himself out scot-free.
Yeah, and that's 2 flashes used here by DePaul and the Sheckler and Kamcha to get something down. Renegade Mac able to find it, and there's no flash on Sheckler. There should be a 1v1 communicated. Master Gamer live, right place, right time. The knockup won't be enough. Falling asleep is Master Gamer live, but now in a little bit of trouble. Forced to flash away. The portal over the wall finds the kill.
Nicely done there from Kamcha to get some retaliation for the team. Beautiful communication coming in from Butler, identifying that the flash was burned. Sums are down. He's like, now is our time to move in and make it happen. But Kamcha, in the end, just makes it a really nice play there. We'll watch this back again one more time, D-God.
Yeah, no vision, and you know you just expended some time, and it really, J4 has been mirroring your movements. You gotta understand, hey, I know I botched that one. Get your mind off that last play and onto the next one. Unfortunate flash here. He has to realize level 6 was reached by Zoe, able to use the portal jump over the wall. Good mechanics there from Kamcha to get that final auto attack off. And it's a trade 1-for-1. Still, no flashes by the junglers, but here comes another gank from the Sheckler.
Sheckler's moving on in now, wants to try and line something up on Alexstrasza. Hoffenheim doing a good job trying to peel for him. The stun is going on through. And we're getting everything right now. DeBoss comes on in, and this is just the backup from DePaul. They burn the ult, they're saying, oh, I guess that's all it is.
Yeah, and it's tough to bait the Shen ult out when it's on the AD carry, and the AD carry's already been chunked. When Alexstrasza gets the Shen ult, you want to be in range so that Shen can shadow dash and get the taunt down on the opponents. However, when you're playing against a Braum and a Lucian, you turn around, you might get blown up, and there might not be any chance for a turnaround taunt. So they stay safe, they keep their carry alive, they'll take the Drake. TP expended here by DeBoss, and now that's going to leave a massive window here for Brown Banderas to make a teleport play across the map as well.
Keep an eye on that for sure, and Brown Banderas is highly aware of this, so look for DePaul to start to set this up and capitalize on it, because of course Camille having that high mobility with the hook shot, having the ult, having this initiation. You mentioned you don't want there to be the only form of initiation here, but when it comes to not an all-out team fight, but simply a skirmish, finding that gank, not a lot better than Camille.
Not at all. Right now, though, just to both top laners okay with just farming up. Haven't gone back yet. Ooh, long range poke there. Kamcha catching Renegade Mac. He'll be able to transfusion his health on up. And that's one of the tough things with Vladimir. Yes, if you just sit in lane, he's happy to sit in lane. He's happy to sit in lane and farm up. And if you aren't able to provide the pressure like what Sheckler tried earlier, he becomes a menace. The Sanguine Pool becomes very difficult to play through. It's a solid mechanic for that champ, and now an engage. Oh, the Sheckler getting a little aggressive, but Boris walking through as well. Good call out by the rest of Butler saying, hey look, the bot lane's gone, please do not go down the river. Master Gamer live, no ult expended, just flag and drag himself to safety.
Yep, gets himself out right there, and DeBoss starting to feel a little more confident in lane matchup as well as down in the bottom. The combo goes through from the Alistar on Hunky Hank, but just baiting it out perfectly. Alexstrasza is content to just sit back and farm, and Hoffnader's been doing such a great job. His Morgana in the last game was fantastic. The Black Shields oftentimes were on point, and now he's creating space, allowing his Caitlyn to just farm up into what should be a relatively tough lane matchup.
Yeah, Boris and Bilito.
Might have spoke too
little
soon
bit
on
of trouble.
Renegade Mac. He's going to have...
Yep, he'll be
He'll have it, yep.
So,
oh, no, don't walk forward, though. Don't walk forward, though.
He's fine.
He's fine.
So I was going to say, Boris and Hunky Hank really haven't been tested by the top 2 bot laners, right? You would say that Alexstrasza and Hoffnader might be the best, if not the best. And the opposite side, you have Villanova's bot lane, Bilito, and his bot lane partner there at Villanova. They still haven't played them yet. And so I think maybe Boris and Hunky Hank are good, very good bot laners, but part of the best, not exactly sure right now, because this is a matchup that Caitlyn can survive through, and then, yes, will fall off a little bit in the mid game, just because of she needs more items. She needs 2 crit items to really do damage, whereas Lucian can get in fights with just 1. But I'm just like what you said, I've been impressed with how well Alexstrasza and Hoffnader, specifically Hoffnader, has been dealing with Boris and Hunky Hank's pressure on the bottom side of the map.
It's almost like DeBoss realizes when we're spectating him because he just proceeds to like miss a bunch of CS every single time. I feel like we're just really bad luck for him. But as you mentioned, yeah, I was curious to see how DePaul is faring now because, you know, I feel like also Alexstrasza and Hoffnader are the dual lane who have leveled up the most over the course of the season. I feel like the change his name from Gang Gang Su to Alexstrasza was just the final, you know, he spoke the words, he ascended to the next level right now, and he's looking really solid here. Just his positioning generally is really good. I mean, Hunky Hank is trying to keep up the pressure as well, but really, this is just a battle to who can hit those major item spikes, who can get there first, and who can capitalize on it. Really, though, we're going to have to look to, whether it be the jungle, whether it be the top, somebody else has to set this up for them.
Yeah, and I would say I'm surprised that Brown Man Darius hasn't used TP yet. It will be up for this next fight. We see Alexstrasza getting engaged upon just a bit, but oh, a little bit more. Here's the TP.
There's the TP going the hookshot as well, and there's the stun, the follow-up, nicely done, the flash committed, but this is all four members going on through. The ult is going to miss the brawl with Hextech ultimate is there, pulling Hoffnader back, and woo, we actually see the delayed, you know, response coming in from DeBoss as well. Maybe a bit of a misplay there from him, but actually looks like the fight is going to continue down there. As Renegade Max also brawling out. As everyone's trying to rotate on in, the Vladimir might have overstepped a little bit as Kamcha is doing so much work. There goes the Camille once more, coming in with the hook shot. Renegade Max, the second cool, keep him alive, able to dodge the paddle star as well. Nicely done, getting himself out of a tight spot.
Yeah, he gets himself out of a tight spot, but it's a solid engage by DePaul. Not exactly sure why DeBoss waited so long to use Stand United, not on Caitlyn, but on the Alistar. He keeps Alistar alive. Oh, Master Gamer biting off more than he could chew.
Actually drops the ult there, trying to survive a little bit longer. Is actually going to survive here, but at the cost, actually I lied. Goes down and brings his teammate with him. Oh no. Cataclysmic series of events right there. Is now Alexstrasza trying to 1v1 Kamcha. Not a 1v1 much longer as Hunky Hank joins right on in. The feeding party is real for Butler right now, staggering out these deaths and giving it all over to DePaul, who are now up 5 kills to 1.
Yeah, I think if Master Gamer Live lands that flag and drag, gets the engage going, might have been different, but by a whiffing, it was a massive whiff, catches his support out, and then Alexstrasza feels the need to try and make a play and step up, puts down a trap right next to Kamcha, and Kamcha says, hey, you know what? You're not really that fed, and I can kill you, and does exactly that. And now 5-1 is your score, 2,000 gold lead in the first 13 minutes after, I was just saying, hey, where's the TP play, Brown Man Darius? Where's the TP play, DePaul? You have the advantage, they take full advantage of it.
It's funny, literally the second you call for it, I'm looking for a TP play from there. Okay, there's the TP, perfect! Perfect timing coming on in. I think DePaul realized they needed to move on that before Butler was gonna have a response. They did exactly that, and I also loved how Kamcha is playing the Zoe right now. Zoe has so much potential for these big plays, using the portals, using the CP bubble trouble. And we're seeing here that, you know, he's got the most CS, he's got the most kills, and he's making it work for his squad. He's not a cast one trick. He's able to bring out multiple options to the table right now. But DeBoss is starting to reach the point where Brown Man Darius is actually struggling a little bit in this 1v1, but of course Brown Man Darius is going to offer so much more when it comes to these initiations, and that's the difference here. Brown Man Darius is going in. He's the proactive, where of course the Shen, it's all about the reactive nature of that champ.
Yeah, but someone that is proactive is the J4. There's the TP play because there is no TP on the opposite side. This is a de facto 4v3, but in goes the flash. Taunt does land onto the Sheckler, and Sheckler might be able to get himself out. He is, but here comes Vlad.
Vlad on the flank. We're going to look for that big Sanguine Pool. There's the Cataclysm instead, finding 3. There's the double. Oh, baby, a triple. Looking for that shutdown. They get it done. And that was the response from Butler. 4 kills going over to them. Real nice.
This is the power of Shen. Shen is able to get down to the map one time, but has a second one in the form of a TP. Macro over micro. Ace in the hole. Good block by Sheckler. He gets very close here. DeBoss has to walk himself out of this one. No selling out by the rest of DePaul. They try to turn tail, and they get caught up in a massive Cataclysm. And making up for his first whiff, you know what, you can't miss a Cataclysm. And he lands it right on all 3 members, picks up 2 kills, and Master Gamer Live back in this game, and a kill picked up from Renegade Mac as well.
And that was all at the back of a beautiful response from Butler. Once again, DePaul feeling a little bit too confident here, thinking they were a little bit further ahead, and they were, yeah, we can make this big play. It'll be totally fine. And to me, it feels like every single time a team feels comfortable in this set, the second they get punished.
Yeah, and it feels almost like a heavyweight fight where one guy is slugging out and hitting one dude, and then right comes back Butler with another left after you think he's dazed, and then they have to stabilize. Round end. Okay, so all right, what's around? Okay, Drake is gone. Let's get a little bit of vision in the river. Can I get assassinated if I get caught? No. Okay, I can place this by myself. All right, let's prepare for the next fight. Objective. The next round.
Yeah, the next round. And as you mentioned, this feels like the back and forth nature of this is both of these teams are coming in with not only is it a lot to prove at this stage, but it's really just more to prove themselves as much as everyone else. As Renegade Max in a bit of a rough spot right now, does use a Sanguine Pool, but not nearly enough. The poke from the Kamcha is there. But again, this is them saying, we deserve to be here, especially if you're Butler, especially if you're the team that didn't win a single set last season. Nobody really expected much from you coming into this. This is their call to say, no, we absolutely deserve our spot.
Yeah, but just like that, Kamcha's like, yeah, but, you know, we're the best team for a reason. We have a better draft. We're just going to pick you out just like that. Alexstrasza, take a lazy path. Not exactly sure why Caitlyn's trying to flank. Caitlyn is very much a stand in a straight line, let me shoot you down. Caitlyn getting a little too aggressive going around the side. And Alexstrasza, just like in last game, has fallen off the pace early. Unlike last game, doesn't have a champion that can 1v9 like Vayne. Caitlyn needs items and can't fall too far behind, otherwise she has a big gun that turns into a pea shooter and doesn't do too much as the game gets into the mid game.
As we're seeing the mid game now in full effect, as we do see the first Rift Herald being picked up here by DePaul, doing a great job, as you said, of sort of prioritizing that objective. You're going to be like trying to further that into a couple of turrets, as we do see Kamcha in a rough spot there. Beautiful play coming in from Hopinator once more to set that up. The combo so effective, and the follow-up damage was there. Now they're looking to pick up some turrets here. But the response is going to come in with a bit of a collapse now from DePaul on the flank. We'll see what they're able to do here. Master Gamer Live is sending this out there. There's the Cataclysm going on, only catching one member though, and there's the return follow from the ult of Braum, instantly deleting the J4 in the back. Hopinator's there, not really where he wants to be. The boss is the one up against the entire enemy team, and that's DePaul with the beautiful collapse. Camille wants a little bit more, goes in with the hook shot. Renegade Mac is there, trying to lifesteal through it, cannot even find it. And can they get one more? Hopinator's wondering, team, what just happened?
Master Gamer Live giveth, Master Gamer Live taketh away. He shoots and he misses very big. Every time you flag and dragon, don't hit it. It's very obvious. No pop-up, no damage. Who's dealing damage on this team composition? Great ultimate by Hunky Hank to slow down the rest of the team. And Alexstrasza was still walking back from the early death. Again, nowhere to be found. The Rift Herald goes on over from that first kill, or the first death from Alexstrasza, and they turn the Rift Herald into 2 mid lane turrets. This is going to be a tough battle of vision for Butler as DePaul takes a gripping hold on this match.
Yeah, this is, you know, give him a big right, give him a big left. I think we're on like round number 4 right now, and we just saw a big uppercut going over the way of Butler, and it seems like DePaul finally might have started to get a grasp on this game. They're going to continue to accentuate that lead, and now that they've opened up this inhib turret, the path to victory becomes oh so clear for them. The probably just continue to push this down on multiple lanes here because DePaul is one of these teams, I call them a bit of a completionist squad. Yeah, they often open up one path to victory, but they like to kind of go back and forth and make sure they've got multiple options.
Yeah, and Zoe will continue to scale and have those opportunities for pickoffs. Again, both those started off of picks from Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and this is what the team composition was lacking from last game. I like the adjustment from DePaul and their team and their staff from getting something that can get them into fights. And it's, hey, I hit someone with that. Are we close enough to hard engage? Yes. Brown Banderas, hold them in place. Okay, easy. And then just slowly breaking them down. I don't want to understate that last one because we sound a ton of praises for Master Gamer Live. This time, Hunky Hank with a huge ultimate to slow down the rest of the damage dealers. Renegade Mac was unable to get into the fight because of the Glacial Fissure that he threw in, and Boris and the boys were able to take care of business.
It seems like every single time one of these teams gets initiated on in a choke, it's going to go one of two ways. And it seems like every single time the team that gets initiated on the choke either gets instantly deleted or is then able to turn it and punish the opponent. You saw them line up there. The Glacial Fissure, as mentioned, did so much work.
Yeah, and this is a different team composition. You have a Caitlyn, not a Vayne. Caitlyn wants to fight in lanes. Vayne's totally down with fighting in the jungle, give her walls and all that stuff. Caitlyn needs straight lines of fire. Maybe later on in the game, Renegade Mac would love to fight in these small corridors, get the tides of blood off, get all your AoE down. But right now, there's no way you want to take those fights as... Uh-oh, Shen's in trouble.
Yeah, that is going to be a bit of a...
Ooh, he's able to TP himself out, but that's a big cooldown off of Macro Play. Macro Play is what got them into the game last time. They found some leads off of that. Butler, if they want to have that fighter's chance, that puncher's chance, as the underdog, can't continue to make these mistakes because DePaul will punish them. They've done it all season long, and they will continue to do it. But now Sheckler in a little bit of trouble, all the while getting caught out.
That looked like it should have been the collapse. That looks like it should have been the collapse from DePaul. That looked like it should have been at least 1 or 2 kills, and it might still be here as they finally find the initiation onto the J4. There's a Sleepy Trouble Bubble going down. They will be able to take 2, going way too far forward. They had no reason to pressure that tier 2 turret. There was no reason to be there. Get what you came for and leave, because now it is snowballing even more kills. Hectic ultimate goes down from Balmran Darius. Alex Straza is going to be the target. The rest of the team is trying to come on in. The boss trying to keep him alive a little bit longer, but that's going to be the fall up there. Getting his carry out, that's the target right now, but he's sacrificing his dear life for it. His Hoffnader is on the flank, trying to keep him in this. Able to get himself out, though, a little bit longer. DeBoss going clutch.
Yeah, DeBoss able to keep his teammate alive. Good ultimate, then a taunt, buys time for Alex Straza, but that leaves a very clear pathway to Baron. And again, Butler just kind of not playing the map very well, allowing a catch out. They did buy some time, but by having Master Gamer Live sit in the bush with Renegade Mac, but not sure what Hoffnader was doing on that last play, getting caught out with his pants down, and DePaul giving a little bit of a spanking there.
Yes, indeed. There. Why are you so far up in my lane, dear sir? You should not be here. And punished for it. I mean, there was that moment of retreat. They're like, oh, yeah, we really need to leave. We really need to leave. We really needed to leave 10 seconds ago. Yep. Oh, no. And that's always a bad feeling when you can sense the inexorable charge as the opponent's making their way across the rift to take you down. And it all started off the... I mean, DeBoss didn't get caught out on top and then was able to get himself out, was able to get his Caitlyn out, so that was sick. But still, that shouldn't have happened at all.
I think the next play here for DePaul is to, I like the fact that they didn't go for Baron. They just put down some vision, cash in on a couple kills that they got. You look in the top lane, you've been clamoring for it there, Paul. 4-0-1, 850 gold, bounty, Trinity Force, Tiamat already built, has himself the Ninja Tabby as well to deal with the damage that the Caitlyn is going to provide later on. So Brown Banderas showing up in a big way here in match number 2. And with a win here, they'll secure themselves solid positioning for their match against Villanova next week. It seems, again, we touched on it earlier, Butler, the Cinderella story, has locked in the 3rd seed for playoffs, only 1 seed up for grabs. But if they can find a win here and come back in this match, it might change the complexity of things. But that Zoe, Kamcha is just consistently landing these Sleepy Trouble bubbles and maybe not getting kills, but just being annoying enough that's leading to confusion to Butler.
Yeah, and it's I think a lot of this, as you mentioned, is on Kamcha right now. The Sheckler as well has been so much more impactful in these games. He's been so much more present in these fights. He's not necessarily the big, massive playmaker, but he's been consistent. which has been the big separator, I think, from that last game right now. And as we look towards picking up this next Drake here, 12 kills to 6, up 4K gold. This is DePaul looking in such a good spot. It is going to take Butler taking one heck of a team fight, and DePaul making one heck of a mistake to come back in this.
Yeah, and I talked about it earlier, getting to the position first. You want to get to these major objectives first, hold them in position, like, so that you can hold that position. You know they have to run at you if they want that. Butler makes a call to just say, hey, look, Caitlyn is 1-3-3. Vlad is 1-3-1. We don't have the items to team fight yet, especially these drawn-out team fights. So, I think accidental Zonias by Renegade Mac. You heard it on the screen. So he won't have that.
Yep.
Another 90-second cooldown here.
Uh-oh.
And that time might not be afforded.
Yeah, the Alistair is getting absolutely bopped right now. The Hextech Ultimatum is surviving a little bit longer, but going gold. Now they're trying to find the flank. There is the Cataclysm not doing quite enough. The HP bars of DePaul are still standing strong, as it looks like Butler is going to maybe try and chase them down right here. Both teams trading blows back and forth here. The initial skirmish trying to maybe chase this down as Butler, but this can be capitalized on if DePaul is able to find the opening.
Yeah, good disengage here by Butler to keep alive Hoffnator. He did have to use his ultimate, Unbreakable Will, and I think they'll just take the time to clear out top River Brush. If you're Butler, that type of fight gives you some confidence. You got engaged on, but you were still able to get yourself out. If you're DePaul, it's like, hey, look, this isn't the greatest fight, and we're engaging on a support. Let's think better of it and back off. So both teams have positives to take away from that, but the later the game goes, Vladimir becomes an issue, Caitlyn finally gets online, and Brown Man Darius might have a little bit tougher of a time getting to the back line of Alexstrasza, and it'll just be picks on picks. The Lucian will fall off later on. Nowhere near that point yet. Boris has even yet to complete his Black Cleaver, but just something to be aware of.
Yeah, look towards the late game scaling. I mean, yeah, you have to look at what Butler's able to bring to the table right here. I mean, Xin Zhao, he starts to fall off a little bit. As you mentioned, Lucian falls off a little bit as well. Camille, as well, it has some impact, but not quite as much. If Butler is able to turtle, it is able to stabilize, not lose a key inhib, that's massive for them. They definitely have a chance to come back in this towards the late game if they can keep Caitlyn alive, which they've been doing a great job of doing. Hoffnator as well in that last fight. His stopwatch usage there was masterful. DePaul blew so many resources to try and take him down there, and he did his job as a support in so many ways by being that tank, being that front line. So it's going to come down to these next few fights as we move towards the mid-late game here around this Baron Pit.
Yeah, and although we're hitting mid-late game in terms of time, we're not quite hitting mid-late game in terms of items yet.
Yeah.
Still, guys, finally hitting the second item spike for a couple of them. Props to Alexstrasza hitting his second item spike now, and already has a Zeal completed based off of the CS that he's been accruing. Even in the face of 3 deaths, he has a gold bounty at 1 and 3. You can see it kind of pop up and pop in based off of how much CS he's up on Boris. But again, the dance around Baron will be key, and the boss will not be able to sit in lane against Brown Man Darius anymore. He will be able to tower dive him and delete him before the tower, or the boss is able to deal enough damage. So the onus is now on Butler to make plays. When you pick the split pusher in the split pushing strategy like DePaul consistently likes to do, and that split pusher is able to get big, 4-0-1 by the way, it forces the other team to have answers to the split push question. You can see Brown Man Darius went under turret, and DeBoss just getting chunked down in a full combo.
Yeah, every single time that tactical sweep comes out, it just starts to rip away at that HP bar, but still, turret is going to drop there. Brown Man Darius does his job on the split push here, shutting down the Shen, not feeling nearly as impactful as that last game I feel on that split push war there. And just showing that at this stage, the 1v1 still favoring Brown Man Darius. As you said, 1,000 gold bounty in this at 4-0-1. He has been the challenger level threat that DePaul needs.
And you look at the itemization as well of DeBoss, it's almost all armor and HP, and he's still getting just chopped down by the blade sword lady. Blade legs sword lady.
They're heel knives, blades. I think? They're like heel knives.
They're painful looking.
Yeah.
And so with that, Butler's gonna need to make the call.
Yeah.
Have to figure out what they decide to fight over, and Drake is up in 30 seconds. There is no vision on that bottom side of the map. All the vision's on the top side of the map, so it's pretty clear what Butler wants to play for. If they go Drake, we can bait Baron. But again, just
Brown Man Darius will win the split push and will be a menace that the Shen can't fight over. You can see Renegade Mac now on the bottom side of the map, and Brown Man Darius doing a solid job, just saying, hey, look, I've got my vision up here in Tribrush. I got my vision up in the river, and then one more at the entryway of the river. And there's no way I'm going to get caught out from behind. And so with that, I can push up to this point, stay there, keep the pressure on, and while they're thinking, should we go to the bottom, should we go to top, we got to keep vision up at Baron, they could take the Drake, easy.
Yeah, and now with vision of J4 here for Butler, DePaul knows they have an easy chance to take down this Drake. Continuing the pressure, as you said, is Brown Man Darius. Missed the hook shot, though. Interesting. He's going to just continue to just auto-attack him because that's all he needs to do. DeBoss in a terrible spot. Uses Zonius, try to indulge Hextech ultimatum as long as he can. And that's going to be the shot going on through underneath the turret. Brown Man Darius gets it done, but might sacrifice his own life for it. Forced to burn the flash to escape, and will it be enough? It will. Caitlyn comes in for the kill.
Gold.
That was actually more worth for Butler in that situation, feeding over that bounty to the carry. It's like bringing him the food.
Yeah, that's probably worth for Butler. Both flashes, I was going to say maybe if the flashes weren't burned, but the flashes were burned by both the boss and Brown Man Darius. TPs are both up as well. So the boss in the next fight will have that advantage if he uses Stand United instead of the TP. So that's a lot of gold for the Caitlyn, able to build the newly remade Static Shiv, dealing big amounts of damage along with the crit. This is an opportunity here for Butler to find a fight in a 4v4.
Yeah, the kills are still, again, very much so in favor of DePaul.
Good job getting over
Sleep
the wall.
trouble bubble. He does able to get himself out with the flag and drag. That was absolutely massive. Like you said, Kamcha has been such a threat in this game. This Zoe has been so frustrating to deal with if you're Butler. Every single time you think you can try and start a fight, just totally puts a hole in your plans right there. And it seems like DePaul is more than content to just sit this back right now, allow Boris to get a few more items under his belt, feel a little more comfortable here. The Sheklin, Brown Man Darius as well, all sitting in a pretty good spot. They don't want to be the ones to get caught out. They don't want to be the ones to make the mistake. And if they cannot find those awkward self-pickoffs like we saw in the bottom lane, I think they'll be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and it's really different to see this DePaul team that has been playing with swagger and picking random things and running over teams to look scared for the first time in this tournament. Right now, Master Gamer Live getting caught out again, flag and drag to safety. But there it is, the Stand United was used.
That's
not
huge.
A huge worry because the Camille is here. So with that ult down, no safety, Master Gamer Live chunked and low on health. Here goes the Baron engage.
Master Gamer Live, the one who pulled off the
doing?
amazing play to get his teammate. Oh, it actually goes down as well to start this off. That is going to be the Baron easily going over the way of DePaul, barring something extreme happening. Sanguine pool on the back. Caitlyn instantly getting deleted as well. A lot of damage onto the Lucian. He's going to get stunned up and taken down, but 4 members of DePaul are still alive. And DeBoss is the last one here. The damage has been done, as you said. No damage left to take down DePaul as they're going to go right back into this Baron.
Why do the dance if you're not going to date the lady? That makes no sense. They just do the Baron dance for about 7 to 8 minutes and then walk straight into the Baron, and everybody dies. Alexstrasza just gets deleted because he's not with his team. Master Gamer Live just gets chunked and then says, hey, maybe they won't kill me at half health. He gets absolutely deleted, and they get the Baron right on over to DePaul. That is so easy for DePaul to take advantage of. It's these types of plays that great teams punish. And this fight's so easy. Kamcha goes over the wall. Again,
one shot.
You cannot go through these corridors if you're Caitlyn. You just can't do it. And if you are the side of Butler, you gotta protect them. Because otherwise, DePaul will just go over the wall with their champs that are ahead. Zoe, yes, slightly broken, will be able to delete people. And Brown Man Darius doesn't even have to worry about anything because he's damaging the Baron because he already did his job. He did his job by keeping DeBoss on the back foot. Now he's down 2 levels, level 15 to level 17, and the split push is going to be undeniable here in 2 minutes once they hit the turrets. It's going to be very difficult for Butler to come back. DePaul, they reaped the reward of what they sowed. They spent all the time fighting over vision, not getting caught, shooting out sleepy bubble troubles, and picking fights not only to engage from, but disengage from. And they have deserved this lead that they have right now. 4 Drakes and pressure going in. DePaul bouncing back from the loss and getting closer and closer to finishing 9-1.
there comes a point as a team where you have to go, do we sacrifice this? Do we just sack Baron here? I mean, our jungler, our Smite doesn't have the HP to go in on this. You know, we just got to let this go. We'll turtle, we'll step back. Yeah, maybe we'll lose an inhib. Maybe that'll be the play. But that's what you got to do. At some point, you have to make that choice. And it's never good to make that call, but it's the mature decision that sometimes you just need to make. Because if not, you go in when your jungler has no HP, you give up all the kills, and now you're going to lose that inhib anyway. Now they have Baron empowered minions, and now you're down at half the kills of your opponent. DePaul looking oh so good here, as you said, reaping what they sowed, looking for those openings, constantly making sure they are maintaining vision, maintaining map control, and it is paying dividends for them right now. They own Butler's jungle. They own these lanes. They are continuing to put this pressure on every single time. Kamcha being such an annoying threat, on not only on the flank, but to pepper out, to poke down the start of these fights, to butter them up, as they say, so when they finally want to find that hookshot Hextech ultimatum opening, they can do so with confidence.
Yeah, and DePaul's doing the right thing right now. Just being methodical, not biting off more than you can chew. How many times have we talked about it? Teams overstaying and then getting caught out and then rebounding the other team or rubber banding the other team back into the game. There are some hefty bounties yet again on these DePaul players, and there are champs like a Vladimir that will continue to scale. Only has 4 items. The Renegade Mac not having a great game. Had a great game on the Sylas. We've seen him put on his carry pants before. I think he picked out the shorts today in game 2 because it's not working out for him right now. Caitlyn does have a GA, so I like the itemization here by Alexstrasza, realizing, hey, I can get one shot. Maybe I should do something about that. They have done a solid job, has Butler, not allowing their inhib to go down, and they do have a very long timer before the Elder Dragon comes up. But the Baron empowered minions still roaming down mid. Get those traps down, Alexstrasza, as he's doing right now. Use the static shift procs not only on champions, but on minions as well to clear out, because you don't have a ton of wave clear other than the Caitlyn. So Caitlyn is forced to put herself in a position where she can get engaged upon.
Yeah, Caitlyn's got to walk forward and try and make sure that they are not getting hit by these Sleepy Trouble bubbles, as we are seeing now. DeBoss, though, has built up a decent amount of tankiness on his own side. But man, the shots coming in for Zoe, she's going to be forcing them back right now. The inhib is exposed, and the chunk is oh so real. They are going to be able to likely get this inhib here. Alistair maybe going in. Braum doing a great job of being the front line here. Look at the damage, the slow grind, death by 1,000 cuts, and finally DePaul is able to make it happen. They got what they came for, and now, smartly, they're backing out.
Yeah, that was an Alistair standing on top of a Braum, and neither one of them using skills to engage on each other. Just very weird to watch. You can see nice block there by DeBoss, canceling out the damage. But yes, you're right. DePaul able to sit on and realize, hey, look, if you engage on us, we'll kill you. Do not engage on us. And, you know, Huffinator goes in. Oh, I'm just headbutting you. No problem. No pulverize.
Nothing to see here.
You know,
just a headbutt.
Giving you a little nudge. So with that rotation down on the top side of the map, these waves have been building up for quite some time, and it's a massive wave. And DePaul able to cash in. There's another Sleepy Trouble bubble, and an engage does come out. Fissure used by Hunky Hank, and I think with no ults and no flashes used by the side of Butler, that might be the call. It's time to back up, boys.
I also feel like this is the moment for maybe Butler to try and make something happen on their own, but the Camille ultimate is saying otherwise. They're going with Hextech ultimate as well. Braum and Darius is getting absolutely chunked. They are the first kill onto the J4, but in the back, Alexstrasza is still able to do the damage he wants to. Huffinator is in there in the front. However, this is 2 members dead already for the side of Butler. Going gold is Renegade Map, but they're going and finding the massive taunt. Nice shot from the Shen, but that's sleep. Oh, that's absolutely it. And that is going to be all 4, making 5 members dead. In just a second here for the side of Butler as DePaul is pushing it on in. They find the kills, they find the fight. Braum man Darius, the moment it's like, no, we probably shouldn't engage. No, he says he sees the opening. He finds a couple members caught out of position. They'll be able to turn this around, secure the win here in game number 2. Tying out this series, a 1-1, not going down 2-0, says Butler.
And the top lane here, Braum man Darius, heard your challenge there, Paul.
Good.
Finally.
Good.
We needed a big game out of him in this series. He was pretty mediocre. He was heard from, but not the carry that we expected on the Yasuo in game 1. In game 2, give him a Camille, go 1v1, pick a matchup that he already has a lot of experience in, a Shen versus Camille. That was a normal matchup last season in Season 8. Now in Season 9, able to put on the carry pants and just be a massive nuisance, have a huge level advantage, a lot of gold, and take away the victory for his team.
Yeah, let's take a look at the highlights from that last game, because there's a lot of points I want us to touch on here, and things that were different from game number 1. And Master Gamer Live on your screen right now, he was certainly one of them. often, you know, he found a couple of decent ults. The Cataclysms were pretty good, but they weren't those big, game-changing, life-altering ults we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, and the issue weren't necessarily the Cataclysms, it were the Flag and Drags. You know,
Yeah.
if you're putting down the Demacian standard, and that standard means if you miss, you're going to die. And he lived up to that. This one right here, he's actually making up for missing with a big-time Cataclysm, putting all
There
three
it
members
is.
there. However, that was the only one that I think was
The rest looked like
memorable. Look at
this.
that. That's a miss. It's a very big miss, and your team isn't there. Your Caitlyn's still walking up. What reason are you engaging for? That was just a bad decision. I don't think it's even bad mechanics here by Master Gamer Live, but a bad decision. And those bad decisions led to small gold leads that DePaul were able to struggle and strangle out their opposition. The Bulldogs had a difficult time finding a way in, and it was very much front to back. That's how these fights go. Hey, look, you're going to be our frontliner, the Sheckler. You have an ultimate that gives you health, that prevents you from taking damage. Pick up a GA as well, and then we'll go front to back, and that's exactly what they did. Boris and Hunky Hank just sitting on top of each other. Kamcha throwing out Sleepy Trouble bubbles, landing picks, getting kills, and when you're that far behind, you have the difficult decision to decide if you have to build armor and defensive items, or if you're going to build damage. Butler had to build damage to try and stay in these fights. Unfortunately, they were so far behind. Nice catch out there at the last fight that it led to the victory for DePaul.
It did, but you know what? We have somebody on the line who I want to speak to regardless of the outcome of that last match. This is somebody who's got to be feeling pretty good regardless, taking a win here over DePaul. Renegade Mac didn't have the result you wanted in game number 2, but how good did that first win feel?
Oh, the first game was sick. We were all freaking out, and it was awesome. We were it felt great that the strategy we planned actually worked, and we were able to execute on it. Everybody played super well.
I mean, but looking towards game number 2, and I'm sure Degon's going to follow up on this as well. What was the difference maker there? We have things that we identified here on the desk, things that we thought went a little bit differently. But in your opinion, what kind of didn't line up? What was the difference between game 1 and game 2?
So their mid laner was super good at Zoe. We didn't plan for that coming in. They played really well around Vision and denying like our ability to engage on them because they just had pinks all over the map, and the Zoe was constantly putting pressure on us, picking us off. Their mid laner played out of his mind. So I think he was huge. Obviously, Brown Mandarius, their top laner, played super consistently, and he was always, you know, a threat.
Yeah.
So it was like pressure coming from top lane, and then their mid laner stepped up huge. Their bot lane was very consistent. So we just didn't really have any openings to play through, it felt like.
What are some of the big takeaways that you get from a matchup like this? Obviously, DePaul, the cream of the crop during the regular season. You guys and your Cinderella story, I think it gives you some belief here. But what do you take away from this heading into the playoffs now that you guys have secured at least a record of 500 into the season?
Honestly, I think we're an elite team, and we can beat anybody, right? We have the skill, and we have the teamwork and cohesion. The only thing is the consistency and doing it repeatedly. Obviously, we split with St. John's, and we split with DePaul. We're the only team that beat DePaul. But also, we lost to St. John's. So being able to hone that in and, you know, really look for in a best of series where that third game is going to be there, where we can just turn it on and in the series. Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway is that we can beat anybody and we're a top team. We just have to find that consistency and keep our stride going into the later games in the series.
What are you going to do as a team preparing for this now that it's very likely here you are, number 3 team in the playoffs? What are some of the things that you're going to do to continue this? Because you guys have had such a pathway of growth over the course of the season. You guys have been consistently improving. How are you going to continue to do that looking towards the playoffs?
So definitely continue learning the meta. We just had another big patch this week. So finding what's best for our players and, you know, specific counter picks to different things. Like we didn't know how to play around Zoe. So if we get more practice against that and learn different strategies to fight against that pick, then I think we'll be good moving forward. Just identifying the meta picks and how to play around them and doing a lot of research on Villanova in particular, because I'm pretty sure that's who we're playing, to find their play styles and really just look to exploit any sort of weaknesses we can find. The same sort of stuff we've been doing, but ramp it up towards playoffs and work even harder.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to ask. Do you have a choice of who you'd like to play? I would say there's about 4 teams for 3 spots with you, Villanova. St. John's still has an opportunity to slide in there, and Seton Hall. Is there someone that you're looking forward to playing?
I really want to rematch Villanova. They said we weren't very good, that they thought Seton Hall was better, and I think it'd feel really good to beat them in playoffs, so I'm looking to play them.
All right, I like it. I like the fighting words. I like the confidence here, man. Congratulations on the win. Lessons on the loss, but overall, congrats. And look forward. Hey, you got to take the wins and the losses, right?
Yeah.
But congratulations once again, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, you heard it there. We are an elite team.
Yeah, those were big boy words.
Oh, I like it. I like the confidence.
That's why I had to throw in, like, who do you want to fight there at the end? Start the drama. Start the drama now.
Absolutely fantastic there. I mean, again, DePaul still looking like the first place team they are, still coming out. But now they're unblemished record, slightly blemished.
Yeah, Brown Man Darius, just what can you say about him? When you think about game 1, we're giving him so much flack for not performing. He still had some great Yasuo ults and was ramping up. I think it was just a tough team composition here. He shows why he's one of the best players, if not the best player in the league.
Yeah, I think he showed it there. The Camille, every single time he went in, there was I think there was one moment where the Hextech ultimatum didn't result in a kill. That one Alistair, one time in the mid, and that was literally it. He had like a 90% effective use rate on that one, so great job there from him. So we're going to hop on to a quick break now, guys. Of course, we did have some errors and mix-ups with our first number match, but we're coming back at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Villanova St. John's is coming towards your faces, so be sure to tune back in then. We'll see you at 3:30.